gentlemen, and welcome to the February 16, 2010 City Council meeting. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. The invocation and pledge of allegiance. Invocation will be given by Alexis Talbot from the First United Methodist Church. The pledge of allegiance will follow by the Police Explorer and Councilman Shelley.
Good evening. Savior God, I pray that this evening, as there are decisions to be made, that hearts would be open to one another, and that those who love this community would make decisions and speak freely with your heart. I thank you that we can safely be in a community like this. I ask a blessing on those who are a part of the leadership in this community. And remind us, Lord, that it's really all about you and not about us. We thank you, Jesus. In your name we pray. Amen.
Carries God. Forward, march. Left, march. Army march, off. Brigade, off.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, order. Right face, forward, march.
Please be seated. First. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Oh, sorry. The minister, Ms. Talbot, don't you have a mission every Saturday morning? Could we just take a second and talk about that? Because I had a phone call this weekend of what wonderful things that your church do for the community and how we need donations of cereal and breads. And if you just take just 2 minutes just to tell the public about that.
It's we actually have a food pantry, and on Saturday mornings from 9 until noon, we serve anyone who comes through who's hungry, as long as they have an ID. And what we do is we give them groceries. We'd love to give them groceries for 7 days, but typically we only have enough to give them for about 3 days. We do the best that we can with that. And we would love any donation to First United Methodist Church for that food pantry. We work in coordination with South Florida Urban Ministries, which is a part of the United Methodist Church, and also with Daily Bread. So, and also the farm share as well. So we have lots of resources, but there are weeks when we are very, very low on foodstuffs. So we would love to have you be a part of making a difference in people's lives in this way.
And it's non-perishable, correct? It's just
no, we actually have given out chicken. Well, and if you bring it, we will distribute it. Doesn't matter what it is. We have a couple of. We are actually looking for a walk-in freezer, or looking for a freezer that we can put in the food pantry. Right now, we use what's in the church kitchen, but we're always keeping an eye out for that. And so, if anyone has one, we'll come get it.
So for all those businesses out there that have day-old pastries or day-old bread or any kind of canned goods, rice, beans, anything like that, I didn't realize the people that you served until Bob and Mita told me about it over an email this weekend. So thank you, Mayor, for indulging. He didn't know about it.
One other thing, just so that you know what the volume is, when I arrived here in Homestead, and I love this community, I want you all to know, I've had such a great experience here. We were feeding about 320 families a week. That's why we only get 3 days of food. We are well over 400 now on a pretty regular basis during the month. And so I just want to let you know that the economy is hitting so many. So watch, at the very least, watch your coupons for your 10 for 10 and your 20 for 10 groceries. That would be fabulous. But anything that you can do, Jesus was very clear in Matthew 25. I was hungry, I was thirsty, I was in prison. This is something we all can do. Thank you so much. All right, I'll stop preaching now.
Thank you, Ms. Talbot. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Burgess?
Here.
Councilman Vogel? Here. Councilman Maldonado?
Here.
Councilman Shelley?
Here.
Councilman Williams?
Here.
Vice Mayor Waldman? Here. Mayor Bateman?
Here. Okay, at this time we have public comment open. Anyone for public comment? Yes, Mr. Powell.
Hi, Edward Powell, 2274 Southeast 27th Drive in Homestead. I placed on each one of your areas 3 flyers, 3 items I'd like to discuss. The first one is a project at Biscayne National Park. It's an ongoing endangered species project. There's postcards there. There were 360 endangered species that were adopted, and each one of us were given a flag of different colors, and we would put the particular species on the flag, and we would put its scientific and its common name, and it's being flown at Biscayne all week long. The entrance to the park will have 360 flags that will fly all month long. Tremendous project. There'll be a grand finale at the end of the month. The next item, casting for a cause. We are having a fishing tournament. It's our second tournament this year. It kicks off March 4th through 7th. It's held at the Capri, the kickoff, and the banquet. And the website is called castingforacause.com, And I'd like to mention that our Mayor Bateman, has signed up to fish that tournament.
Correct.
And not only has he done that, he has placed an ad in our brochure for his business that will run in our fishing information packet. And the fishermen here, Mr. Shelley, Councilman Shelley, Councilman Burgess, invite you to challenge the mayor and join our tournament. And all you other fishermen out there, come try to beat the mayor.
There you go. Challenge the mayor.
Third item, I got a minute to go. A group of us went to Dade County Commission last week. There are 3 ordinances that have been looked at for the county, particularly Redlands. Snevely's Winery, as you know, has wine. They cannot serve food with their wine the way the ordinances are written. Therefore, we went down and spoke on their behalf 3 ordinances. The Redlands will be allowed to have bed and breakfast. That's the first. We have now got that in Homestead. Did you know that 40% of fruit that's harvested out there goes into the ground? They can't sell it. One of the ordinances would allow them ancillary agriculture use of that fruit. They can make jams, jellies, fudge, ice cream. Big deal for the farmers. Whole nother industry. Okay, the other one is that the setting up of distilleries and breweries. Now, that before you couldn't do any of that. That's when the ordinance. It passed the committee last week. There is a vote March the 4th, final committee to approve it. What does it do for Homestead? All the people that are going to go to the Redlands, going to bed and breakfast, take advantage, they got to come through Homestead. And we want them to stay here in South Dade, not go to the Keys, not go to the national parks. they will stay in South Dade. That's good for everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Yes, ma'am.
I love that noise. My name is Helen Day, and my address is 1044 Northeast 4th Avenue in Homestead. And I have a question. I don't know if I'm directed to the right people or not, but since November, when we received a bill for our lights, water, and garbage, we received 2 bills in November. And then each month, it gets closer and closer. I'm getting a bill like every 3 weeks for lights, water, and garbage. And I didn't know if you were aware of it, but the bill in November was for the 2nd of November and for the 30th. And then in December, it was for the 28th. In January, it's 22nd. February, it's the 19th. It's like every 3 weeks.
Yes, ma'am, we are the right board to direct that to, and I'm going to direct that to the Department Head of Customer Service.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, ma'am. The issue is, come November, December, needless to say, we have holidays, people taking vacation, things of that nature. So we have a limited personnel and amount of time to actually do our reading, so we try to accelerate it as much as possible. So what happens, it kind of throws the readings off, and what you're probably getting is a reading approximately every 28 days, and it would appear that you're getting billed multiple times in 1 month. You may get that in 1 month, but not consecutively month after month. But I've initiated a new policy at customer service that from now on, starting in March, you will be billed literally on the same day within 2 or 3 days every month. So we're in the process of going ahead and implementing that, so people won't have that variation, of the bill shifting within a week.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for bringing that forward. We are working diligently in customer services department as we speak. We have a lot of different opportunities set before us. There could be some electronic billing that may speed things up. There are different things that I have looked at as your mayor to help expedite the billing process and make it more precise than what it is today. Bear with us. Help is on the way. Yes, sir.
Kevin Sullivan, 1860 Southeast 6th Court, Homestead. I'm here tonight speaking simply as a homeowner, and I'd like to bring up the fact that back on February 6th, the police department held its 2nd annual 5K Heart and Soul Run Walk. I opted to walk. But I wish to thank Captain Bowe for his hard work and Police Chief Roll for supervising. And I especially like to thank all the police officers who gave up part of their Saturday off to volunteer to come in and help with the traffic flow. I know Robert Landon was there with his crew. I saw a lot of city employees there either volunteering or walking. But one thing I didn't see is not one elected official. So, don't know what that means, but I'd just like to point that out.
Gee, thank you.
Another issue, conduct unbecoming. I've heard a lot about that. I'm not sure exactly what it means, but what it means to me, I guess, is something different. But what I would consider is something I found out online has to do with a recent bid for trees along Campbell Drive. Somehow the highest bidder, and I mean high, way above everybody else, got the bid. And when I tried to find out if he was even licensed, so far with my limited computer skills, I can't find that out. But I really think somebody should look into the fact that we paid $13,000 more to this bidder than all the other bidders that were there. Another issue, we've talked about the charter school. I haven't heard anybody that's against the charter school. Maybe there's people out there that are. I'm not. But I want it done the right way. They're saying they're going to take 10 acres of land, the building, and everything else, and give us $1 a year. They have the potential, if they only have 1,000 students, to take in $7 million of our money from Dade County. $7 million. I've checked other charter schools that are renting land, elementary schools, a lot less student population than that, and they pay $200,000, $240,000. It's based on the amount of students in the building. It's $7,000 approximately per student that the charter school gets of our Dade County tax money, and we're going to let them take land, I forgot whether it's 30 or 40 years, for $1 a year.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Yes, next.
Thank you. My name is Ed Rogers, 2515 Southeast 20th Place. Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, and council members and staff, and everyone in attendance here. I have come here on behalf of Spitzer Auto World to enlist your help in the upcoming arbitration so we can get our franchise back. We've been here in Homestead for over 30 years, in Dade County for over 50 years, and we've provided a fairly sizable economic impact to the community and have served the Homestead area, the Keys, for many years. Congress has passed legislation forcing Chrysler and General Motors to go into binding arbitration with all of the dealers that they cut back in 2009. And we are trying to enlist the aid of all of our friends, customers, the city government, and interested parties to help us get our franchise back. We're preparing to go to arbitration, and I brought some sample letters that the city of St. Lucie, Fort Pierce, and the St. Lucie County Commissioners passed a resolution asking Chrysler to restore Wallace Chrysler dealership up in that area. And I faxed some of these over to Vice Mayor Waldman yesterday, and she has them. And I also brought a package so that each of the council members could have one as well. And we would really appreciate it if the city would get behind us and show us support. We've been here in this community for a long time. This was the first year in many years that we weren't able to sponsor the rodeo because it's been a Dodge rodeo all these years, and we lost our franchise, so we couldn't be involved. But we take a lot of pride in our community involvement, and most of our employees live here in the city or right in the general vicinity, and we at one time employed almost 80 people. We're down to about 15 right now, and we hope to get our franchise back and continue serving this area as we have for many years. And I would thank all of you for your support, and anything you can do, write letters to Chrysler. We would be happy to receive them at the dealership where we can forward them to the appropriate parties, and I thank you for the time.
Thank you, sir. If you'll give that package to the city clerk, each one will get a copy of that. Thank you, sir. Yes, next.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Jen Helms, Shelley, 166 Northwest 19th Street, Homestead, Florida. Just was here this evening to invite you all, the residents and the members of the audience this evening, to the 27th annual Homestead Rotary Club annual auction and dinner fundraiser. It's going to be this Friday night. We have a prime rib dinner. It's $25 per person. It's unbelievable prime rib. We are also going to have a live auction. We're raffling off this year a 7-day cruise on the Oasis of the Sea. It's gratuities included. Gratuities included. It's for 2 people, and it's for a balcony suite in the exterior. Great stuff we're going to have this year, so we invite you all to come out. It starts at 6:30 dinner, and 7:30 starts the live auction. So if you need tickets, you can call me on my cell, 305-218-1643, or both tickets for the raffle and the dinner. So we hope to see you all out Friday night. And just an FYI, all the money that we raise during our auction, which is our annual fundraiser, the biggest one that we do each year, go to scholarships for students that are graduating from high school or currently in college. Last year, we raised and disseminated about $25,000 to the students of South Dade area. So,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
I've got my tickets, and I hope the other council members do. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Rodney Irwin, 19540 Southwest 320th Street, Homestead. I am here this evening representing the Omega Space Systems Group, and we are currently seeking a place here in South Florida where we can manufacture the components for solid rocket motors and fuel. Right here in South Dade, we have the existing Aerojet complex. It was abandoned in the 60s, and I want to say right here, right now, we are not Aerojet General, and this is not the 1960s. We recognize that this is a very sensitive area, the pristine wetlands of the park and everything around it, and we will work diligently to preserve that. In fact, there's no need for us to disturb the existing wetlands. The Aerojet complex has basically everything we need to proceed. If the owner, that is South Florida Water Management District, agrees, then we are ready to start right away. This is a project that we would like to have in motion sooner as opposed to later. Needless to say, this will create jobs, hundreds of jobs, and it covers a broad spectrum from basic manufacturing jobs to high-paying technical aerospace jobs. This will be the most advanced solid rocket motor production facility in the world. Currently, the U.S. owns about less than 5% of the overall global satellite launch market. The other players are France at about 70%, China, and Russia. If anything were to happen to our critical satellites that we use every day in transportation, farming, surveying, it just goes on, then we would have to rely on the French, the Chinese, and the Russians to bring this critical part of our technology back online. You'll see more of this project in the near future, and we appreciate your input and ask for your support. My contact information will be on the City of Homestead site following this meeting as it goes online. Thank you very much.
A question, sir. Couple things in your brochure here. It talks about that you'll be a good neighbor. That's one. I like that. And two, it says time is of the essence. What are we talking about? You know, what when you say time is of the essence, are we talking a month, 6 months?
Well, as fast as we can make this happen. There is currently a global backlog of satellites sitting on the ground right now waiting to go up. So the faster we can make this happen, the better it'll be for the community. There'll be a lot of construction work. I don't know if you know the Aerojet site. Quick history, it was built for this purpose. It was abandoned in the 1960s when Aerojet General Corporation lost the contract that they were going for to manufacture solid rocket fuel. At that time, they pretty much left, and the facility has been kind of going downhill ever since. But these people were rocket scientists, and when they build a facility, they build it well. Anything else?
Thank you. No, I think that I'll take the rest of the information. You got my support, and we'll look into it and see what we can do to help you, all right?
Glad to hear it. Thank you.
Sir. Jobs, jobs, jobs. Yes, Mary Finley. Hi. Welcome.
I'm height impaired. I'm sorry. I'm Mary Finland. I'm at 35 Northwest 19th Street in Homestead, and I really want to bring to your attention our 16th annual Chili Cook-Off and Outhouse Race, February 27th. Go to the Rotary event this coming weekend, but February 27th, y'all should come out to Prime Outlets and watch the fun. We have the Grand Am people coming out with their simulator and their big muscle cars, and we're just going to have a lot of fun. Bounce house for the kids and everything. And it's been a long time since we've had a city outhouse win that race. And I remember Councilwoman Waldman in her pink bathrobe and her marabou feathers riding the outhouse down the finish line. So y'all need to come and see. We're going to have a good time. February 27th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Any other public comment? Now's the time. We do it at the beginning of the meeting instead of the end of the meeting. Any other public comment? Okay, moving on with the agenda. Next item, item 4 on the agenda, additions, deletions, deferrals. Yes.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, only the two last items on the presentations, items 5L and M, have been removed. Everything else stays as is.
Okay. Hearing no further additions, deletions, or deferrals, motion to approve those two we took off? Okay, motion by Mr. Burgess, second? Second. Second by Mr. Shelley. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next item on the agenda is we've got a big evening here of special presentations. A, Mr. Williams, Mr. Maldonado, I'm sorry, Black History Month presentation.
Good evening, everyone. The City of Homestead is celebrating Black History Month, and we have a special guest here tonight who would like to share part of the Black History Month on behalf of it's Homestead Middle School. Raika McCormick, would you please come up? Raika is representing Homestead Middle School at this event, and she's going to perform Phenomenal Woman by Maya Angelou. Raika.
I'm not cute, I feel the back of my side. When I start to tell anything a lie, I say it's to reach my arm, and my hip, straightening my step, and turning my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenal. And I'm the woman, that's the key. I walk into a room, that's who let you see. Into a man, so they'll say, fall down on their knees. When they come around me, and I pretend to be. I say, it's the fire in my eyes, that's my feet, swing my waist, swing my feet. I'm a woman, phenomenal. And I'm the woman, that's me. Men themselves trying to say even me. They try to want to say can't touch my hands. Not so much they can't do. I say it's the arch of my back, it's on my mouth, riding my butt, and serving my side. I'm a woman, and I'm the woman, that's me. Now you better think about my head not bad. I have to talk real loud and shout. When you do that, you are proud. I say it's the tip of my heels, the tip of my hair, palm of my hand, and leave my hair. Because I'm a woman, phenomenal. And I'm the woman.
By the way, just want to let everyone know that is Mother McCormick's daughter. Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Mr. McCormick as our former councilman, City of Homestead. That was his daughter. Good evening again, and gives me great pleasure to introduce this next group. This is a Homestead Young Professionals, known as HYPE. Homestead is a new dynamic group of energetic and motivated young adults committed to promoting the community of Homestead through philanthropy, community service and involvement, social and business networking, educational and professional development. This group was founded and co-founded by Dr. Dimitri Sandler and Elaine Sandler. And at this time, I'd like to call them up and have them tell you a little bit about HYPE, Homestead Young Professionals.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having us here this evening. We'll keep this brief as we know that everyone is busy and we've got a full agenda. My name is Elaine Sandler. This is my husband, Dr. Dimitri Sandler, and we are the co-founding chairs of HYPE, Homestead Young Professionals. When we were approached to create this organization, we became aware of a need in this community for young people to come together and to get involved. It is the only organization of its kind, and it's designed to encourage the participation of youth. We're going to reach out to high school students and college students and the young professionals in this area to encourage them to get involved in city and local government. We are a group of young professionals under the age of 45 that are sincerely dedicated to the future of Homestead and its surrounding communities. We'll go to local schools, present to them, to local businesses. We're going to reach out to as many of the young folks here in town that we can. Through doing that, the young people will have exposure to job opportunities as well as business, social, and networking opportunities. Our main focus, however, is community involvement, social activities, and philanthropic events. We hope to attend the other local community meetings, such as Chamber of Commerce, Kiwanis, Rotary, Military Affairs, etc., and participate in the various activities, both business and community service activities in the community. We plan to have monthly meetings, at least in the first 6 months to a year. We plan to have them at the Thursday evening, first Thursday of the month at 6 p.m., and the location will vary each month. We'd like to go to different businesses, different restaurants, just to highlight some of the local businesses in our community. The name of our group and our literature states that our target age for membership is under the age of 45, or ages 21 to 45. That being said, we will not exclude anyone who wants to participate by any means. We've started an advisory council of some business members who happen to fall outside of that age range, but have been very supportive to the group so far. We feel we can all learn from one another and benefit from one another. We'll be in the process of incorporation, drafting bylaws, and other activities over the next couple of months. We've already built a website. We've started to produce some informational literature, some of which you have passed around to the council members, and some will be in the back for the audience. For those of you familiar with Facebook, we already have a Facebook page. Many people are into that these days, so we have to, keep on top of technology and reach out to everybody in any way we can. We've gotten a lot of communication via the internet, via email, via Facebook, and hopefully by coming to meetings like this and presenting to you all, we'll get more and more members. Our very first meeting was held last month on February 4th. It was a big success. We'd like to thank Hector Hernandez and the staff of El Toro Taco for sponsoring that event. We had a very nice gathering and we came up with some great ideas. Some of our interested guests who are present are here this evening. We hope to continue to come to this meeting, update you on our progress, what our activities are going to be, and keep you all informed and involved with us. At this point, I'd like to turn over to my husband, Dr. Dimitri Sandler, who's going to let you know about our first service project.
Thank you. So we planned on getting this organization, HYPE, off the ground, and first couple of months, towards the end of last year, we were gathering information from other similar organizations all throughout the country. Once we did that, we decided to get on the way. So in January, as my wife mentioned, we had our first meeting. Also, as you're all aware, obviously there was a tremendous tragedy in Haiti during the month of January. And so we thought, what better sort of unfortunate tragedy, I guess, to try to help out and get involved with. So through a generous donation from Iron Tree Trucking, we got a trailer which we had parked on US 1 and 6th Street. And we had donations come in from all over, all kinds of members of the community, very generous donations. Any monetary donations that came in, we passed those along to the City of Homestead and Florida City and their efforts. And then during that time, the generosity was amazing. We even had a homeless lady that came by pushing her cart and saying, what can I do? What can I give? We obviously said not necessary, but she wanted to give something, so she took some clothes and donated to the trailer. So it's just amazing how in times of tragedy, some of the generous efforts that people give. So at this time, we want to thank some of the volunteers which are standing in the back, the explorers. Were instrumental in being there every day, most days, accepting donations, sorting the donations, organizing. Some of them even made signs, stood on US 1, and received the donations. So at this time, we'd like to present a certificate of appreciation to Alicia Wiggins and Sergeant Deegan from HYPE to the Police Explorers. Keep up the good work. And thank you. So thank you again. We hope to come back to future meetings, let you know of our new endeavors, and keep a look and check the website. It is HYPE, hype.com. Our next meeting tentatively set for March 11th, and place to be determined. And check out the website, and we hope to get more members. Thank you.
These two are being very, very shy and very generous. Trust me, they hit the ground running, and I mean running fast. That trailer sat out there for 3 weeks to a month. They tapped into 4. They tapped into the Police Explorers. They tapped into South Dade High seniors. They had seniors out there working from 4 to 8 o'clock, 5-6 days a week. I went by several nights to see how things were going. That gigantic semi, 60 feet long, went from 0 to 3/4 full very quickly. Very generous people. They donated, but very generous people who worked hard every single day to do something for someone else. And with that said, I have a little plaque for the two of them, because this is what we want to start and continue to start in Homestead. And these are our people, our public, reaching out to help one another. And it's not all about coming up here and telling the big story of how I think I can do better. It's what can we do for our neighbor? And that's what these two have done. They've reached out to help the neighbor. Thank you very much, both of you. On behalf of the City of Homestead, put my glasses on here, certificate of appreciation, this certificate of award to Dr. Dimitri Sandler and Elaine Sandler, in appreciation for your dedication and contribution to the Homestead community through the creation of the Homestead Young Professionals, HYPE, the next generation of leaders. Thank you both very much.
I have 2 little additional comments regarding our service project. Number 1 is that trailer was full at the end of last week. So we took all the donations that we could fit no more. So as people contact us, we'll send them on to other community efforts. And the other thing is our website is www.joinhype.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much, both of you. Once again, it's a pleasure to see something new start in Homestead like this. The second presentation is also given by myself, as I chair the police department, and along with that comes all these beautiful kids back here, known as the Police Explorers. Homestead Police Explorer program was established in 1982 with 15 teenagers. Since the beginning, approximately 600 kids have graduated from the academy. Community service is stressed in the program, and we'll see Police Explorers. You'll see the volunteering at many city events, just like you saw in HYPE. I would like to introduce Sergeant Lizanne Deegan to give you more information about this. Lizanne?
Mayor, Council, the Homestead Police Explorer program is a program for young youth, 14 to 20 years of age. It's a career-based program. We meet 3 times a week. We're at every community event. The events that were mentioned here tonight, Casting for a Cause, Rotary Dinner, and the Chili Cook-Off, you will see the Explorers there. We don't turn any organization down. It is mandatory that the kids do community service, and also we teach them leadership. The Explorer program is run by them. therefore, they take responsibility for their programs, their activities, their experiences, also their successes and their failures. And we as the police department in the city of Homestead, we're just here to facilitate whatever they need. We have an academy coming up. Our orientation is on February 18th here in the city council chambers. The class, you see the young people here in blue shirts, they graduate in March of 2010, and it's been a year for them. Normally our academy is 3 months long, but with all of the requests for community service, it's dragged on for about a year. So, and they're also preparing for the national conference.
Thank you very much. And this is one of the individuals that I met one afternoon when I went by to help to lift up the ladder in the back of that semi-trailer. Herself and 3 or 4 other high school students were out there doing a yeoman's job. And I thank you, and I thank all of you very much. Keep up the good work. Okay, our next presentation, he's standing there eagerly, very good. Hey, John Burgess.
Thank you. Last fall, many of you may have gone and witnessed our great air show that the Colonel helped plan out there at our air base. And I attended many of the planning meetings, and one day the Colonel looked at me after he'd looked at the state police and he looked at the Miami-Dade County Police and asked them for help, and they both looked at him and said no. So the Colonel looked at me and said, please. So I did. I went back to our leadership, Chief Roll, then retired Major Kennedy, retired Major Chong, Captain Chong, and asked them if they could help. What they were looking for was police escorts to help the Thunderbirds get down through the traffic so that they could get to the show on time. And through that, we had 18 officers that signed up to give 2 days of their own time to go up and help the city of Homestead and put our image out there to show that we were behind this in more ways than one. And I thought that it would be proper, and the Colonel did also, that they get a token of appreciation from the Air Force and from the air show. So he's brought a couple of tokens of appreciation tonight for the officers that gave Saturdays and Sundays. And if I could at this time, I'd like to call them up and tell them thank you, and let the Colonel tell them thank you also. The ones that are here are Motor Officer Hernandez, Motor Officer Robinson, Detective Diener, Reserve Sergeant Sean Fletcher, Reserve Officer Benair.
Let me go ahead and tell them a little bit about what
Okay.
we're present.
Well, I'll bring them all up. And
Yeah,
then
bring
we'll
them all
go. Reserve Officer Green and Reserve Officer Pepper. And if Chief Roll would come up and also accept one on behalf of the police force, because without him signing the dotted line, none of this would have been possible. So if the Chief would also come over to accept one, I'd appreciate it.
Well, good evening, everyone. Mayor Bateman and City Council, it's great to be here again in front of the microphone. My name is Colonel Mike McCulley. I'm the Mission Support Group Commander for Homestead Air Reserve Base, and also this past air show director for Wings over Homestead. And again, we're having another air show coming up the 6th and 7th of November, and the Blue Angels are coming, so we're very excited about that. But get to what happened during the air show. Just some quick statistics so you know what happened. This was the first show in 17 years here at the Homestead Air Reserve Base. Many folks have come as kids to the base and seen the shows in the past. We had a great show. We had over 200,000 folks show up over the 2-day event, and the folks behind me were critical in making that happen in more ways than one. The traffic, the issues that happen outside our fence are the long pole in the tent to make this air show happen. And without them, we wouldn't have the success that we did. We had a very safe air show. No one was hurt, 6 hours of flying, and again, 200,000 folks came to see the event. So we're very excited about that. Now, what we did for each show, we have a theme. The theme for this past year was 100 years of military flight. So we right flyer to the present, and we wanted to have that kind of thing. We created a patch for the air show and it was worn by our pilots and other dignitaries that attended the event. But also we created a coin, a challenge coin. In the military, this is a big deal. And challenge coins are something that we carry in our pocket, and we have a very much of a pride issue with coins. On the front is the wing symbol, and then on the back is the Thunderbirds flying over Florida with a little star that represents Homestead, and then also it shows 1909 to 2009, which was the air show 100 years of military flight. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to present a patch and a coin to each individual who helped us out with that. So first up, I'd like to shake your hand, say thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. There you go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. One more. Oh, yeah, one more for the chief. Oh, okay. Yeah. I do this in the military. Oh, okay. Just so you know, I have the rest of, we had 18, 20 individuals, and I have a nice little pile for them, and I asked the chief to go ahead and present them, or we can come down and present them individually down at the police station if you'd like to. Okay, we can come down, or, like I said, you can pass them out at the roll call, I guess. We'll do it that way. Okay. But again, we want to say thank you to the city. What a great event. And again, we're excited about what's coming on. We expect a larger event this year. We invite the public out and expect a great showing this year. And again, with the city's help, we'll do it all over again and make us proud. So thank you very much.
I know the Colonel's here thanking us tonight, but I want to thank him for bringing help bring such a great event back down to the city of Homestead and the surrounding area. And it was his vision and his leadership and General Binger that brought such a great show. So I also want to say thank you to the Colonel, and if you would tell the General thank you very much also for all that you guys have done. And I see we've got a meeting coming up next week, so I will be there or I had one that showed up on my BlackBerry, so I'll be there to listen and start the process all over again with you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, John, for stepping up to the plate last year. I appreciate that. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Antique Auto Show, the National Winter Meet, Antique Auto Club of America. Oh, you want to get a photo? Hold on one second. Where's our photo person? Uh-huh. Yeah? There she is.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members, thank you for letting us.
Oh, thank you. Okay. I'm here representing the Antique Automobile Club of America, South Florida region, which is the Miami chapter of this worldwide organization. I'm here also with my wife, Jean Howell, who's the vice president of our local club, and also Mr. Vern Glenn, a longtime resident of Homestead. Mr. Glenn has been bugging our local club for years about hosting a national meet here in Homestead, and he's finally going to get his wish. This coming March the 4th through the 6th, we're hosting a national meet at the Homestead Motor Speedway out in front of the north side of the Speedway. Just to give you a little background, the Antique Automobile Club of America is an international organization with over 70,000 members in 50 countries, mostly in the U.S. and Canada, of course. We have about 10 to 12 national meets around the country every year. The winter meet is always in Florida. It travels different cities around Florida. The South Florida region, we've been around since 1955. We've hosted shows all over the county, and we've had about 25 shows the last 25 years in Homestead. We did about 20 years at Harris Field, and the last 5 years on Main Street, Homestead,
which we think is a good benefit for the community, restaurants and merchants and so on. How this event came about was Yvonne Knowles, who's sitting here also with us, works for Main Street Homestead, and we worked with her putting on these annual shows. And she was researching AACA and discovered through our national website that they have a huge event up at the Charlotte Motor Speedway every April. And she contacted Al Garcia, the Vice President of Operations at the Homestead Speedway, and figured that this was a good fit. So we all got together and agreed to have this event next month. We were expecting approximately, a little over 200 vehicles from 1910 up to 1985. These vehicles are coming from all over the East Coast, all the way up to New England. We have over 300 judges coming in to judge these cars. And we've booked up 380 motel rooms in the Homestead, Florida City area. And I think one of the last slides shows some of the economic impact of this event. There's a Homestead show last year. We do shows at downtown Miami, which we did 2 weeks ago, Coral Gables, Art Deco Weekend. There's the financials on it, the estimate of the benefit to the community. I might also add that this event is free to the spectators, so we invite everyone to please come on Saturday the 6th and enjoy these antique cars. There's also an automotive swap meet associated with this on the 4th, 5th, and 6th. So anyone interested in parts for your antique cars, please come on over. There's also a race going on inside the Speedway the same weekend. I don't have all the details on that, but get on the Speedway's website and you get the details for that. That event is not free, unfortunately, but our car show is. That's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. That's quite a large economic impact. I appreciate you bringing that slideshow forward. Next item on the agenda, holiday food drive. Councilman Burgess.
Thank you, Mayor,
Yes,
for allowing me to recognize people that have done good things in our community. The Mayor's Youth Council did their second annual food drive this year to benefit the Homestead Soup Kitchen. And I just wanted to recognize the merchants who allowed us to drop food off and tell them thank you again. Most of them were second-year pickup sites, so I just wanted to say thank you. And if they would come up as I call them, I would appreciate it. Judy Waldman is representing Anne Marie's. John from Broadway Subs, please. Mayor, if you want to come up and get recognition for the city and City Hall being a pickup site. The Homestead Police Department, Chief Roll, if you'd come back up. Ruth Campbell from the museum, the Historic Town Hall Museum downtown. Mary Finland, if she's still here, for the Chamber of Commerce. Renee Dunn from Curves. Michelle from ER Techs, if she's here. Denise from Spellbound Books and Gifts. Abigail from the YMCA, I see her sitting over there. Kevin Sullivan for Northgate and his community clubhouse. And if there's anybody from the Senior Center, Harris Field, I'd like to say thank you to all of them, all of those people for helping us. And I've got a plaque to give to each one of them. Just hold that, hang on. We're just going to take our picture and then we'll pass it out. We can keep things moving here tonight. Mayor. Ruth, come on up front. Okay. You guys come over here, you're going to be hidden. If I can just give a couple quick facts. The drive raised about 3,000 pounds of food for the soup kitchen and approximately $1,200 in cash. So hopefully we can keep building. We know it's a tough time for everybody, as the pastor was saying earlier tonight. They serve 3 times a week down there also on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So I know any food and donations or time that somebody could give them would be much appreciated. So thank you to everybody that gave, and thank you especially to everybody that helped and allowed us to collect food at their site. Thank you.
It's community effort at its best. I thank all of you, each and every one of you, for allowing the drop-off site and the time and effort that you put forward. Next item on the agenda, is Ms. Wallman, Portofino's.
I've learned over the years. Mr. Click. There he is. Hi. Mr. Robert Click, he's going to tell us about his new restaurant.
Thank you. How are you? How's everybody doing this evening? First of all, I want to thank Judy Wallman, City Council, the Chamber of Commerce, Mary Fennell, thank you. And most of all, Homestead's warm, welcome people who make up part of our patrons and our staffing. When we opened up Portofino Coal-Fired Pizza, we hired, I believe it was 58, 59 people, and most of them with the generosity of South Dade Workforce and One Stop Career Center. Most of our employees had been out of work anywhere from 6 to 9 months. So with the help of the City of Homestead, thank you so much for your help with your employees for us. Portofino Coal-Fired Pizza is part of Prime Group. We have, Prime Group is a lot of different things here in City of Homestead. We are growing and thriving in the face of home building, face of adversity. We adapt and innovate in order to grow and thrive communities, companies, organizations, and even individuals. Prime Group is a parent company of Portofino Coal-Fired Pizza. It's just a company and a long-standing corporate citizen of Homestead. Prime Home Builders, first doing business in Homestead during a time when homes were desperate and needed to accommodate growing numbers of families and businesses. Prime Commercial Developers. We're part of the Portofino Professional Center next to the new Homestead Hospital. Portofino Plaza, home of the flagship Cinemas, Beauty Schools of America, the Census Bureau, and Portofino Coal-Fired Pizza, to name but a few of our commercial residents. A newly group, Prime Hospitality Group, is our Hampton Inn and Suites, an exceptional hotel for Homestead. We have 126 rooms and suites. One of our newest concepts in the Hampton and Hilton family. Expanded breakfast and social areas, free breakfast for everyone, free wireless internet in a room throughout the hotel. Large pool and expanded luau outside. Portofino Coal-Fired Pizza, just to give it a little bit of information on us. It's a new twist on the popular concept, cold oven cooking and expanded menu with pizza, wings, pastas, and sandwiches. One of the most important things with our coal-fired ovens is they're eco-friendly. Means we don't use a lot of energy other than natural energy. It's anthracite coal is our main source of clean burning energy. Our ovens cook our pizzas, chicken wings, and pretty much everything that you have there 800 to 1,000 degrees. Basically, it means we can cook a pizza within 4 minutes. So our guests don't have to wait that long. The taste, we feel, is very delicious because it adds that charcoal flavor to our meats and our breads and whatnot. We consider ourselves casual, a little bit upscale, because adults like pizzas too. We have a full liquor, beer and wine, but we also have a corporate responsibility to support local government, civic, business, and charity organization. Like I said, when we opened up Portofino Coal-Fired Pizza, we hired 55 to 58 employees. The future, we're part of, again, Prime Group, new business and jobs at the Villa, Portofino East, and Hampton Inn, out partial sites. We're anticipating additional professional space to grow as Homestead Hospital continues to grow, new tenants and business within Portofino Plaza. The most important thing, one of the main reasons why I'm here tonight, is to invite everyone to our grand opening. Our grand opening is scheduled on March 3rd from 6 until 8, where all proceeds that evening go to a foundation called Little Angels Foundation. So I would encourage everyone to come out, and all the proceeds between 6 and 8 will go to Foundation Little Angels. Thank you. Again, thank you for everything. Thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted to say before Mr. Quick sits down, a group of us went there for lunch after the rodeo parade, and I think we ordered everything on your menu. And I'm telling you, it is delicious. If you haven't eaten there, you must go. It's a different taste. It's just different. It's a different taste. And the service was great, everything impeccable. So thank you so much. Touched my heart when they called and said they wanted to do this for the Little Angels, because as you all know, fundraising is tough this the last few years. So I beg you all to come out, enjoy the evening, put it on your calendar. Mary Jane, help me remember to put that email out. And I also want to say that they're being so modest as well, as Dr. And Mrs. Sandler were, but they also hosted our AYSO VIP children, our very important children in the AYSO League for their Christmas holiday party. The Hampton Inn did, and I thank you all so very much.
Thank you so much.
It's what you give back to the community at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
That's what matters.
We do the best we can. Sometimes we fall down, but it's...
Now we
about
pick
to
you right
recover.
back up.
That's right.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. And we will see him on the 3rd of March, right? Between 6 and 8 p.m. and go there and have dinner, lunch. They do takeouts. They do everything.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now, our little children over here have been so patient. They're getting a little restless, and they need to get home and go to bed because it's school tomorrow. So I'd like to invite Ms. Natalie from the Children's Gallery to come forward. I'd like to point out to you before she takes the microphone that all the artwork, and come on kids, come on. All the artwork that you see in the chamber tonight is from the gallery, and she's going to take a few minutes and talk about the gallery and tell you what programs they have. But every month we're going to change the artwork out, and I encourage schools, I encourage just organizations, any art-driven organization to please come forward and call us, and we'll put you on the schedule because we want to show, we want to showcase what talent we have here in the city of Homestead. So, Ms. Natalie.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Natalie Prieto. I am the Executive Director of the Children's Gallery and Art Center, a new nonprofit organization for the visual and performing arts. It is my pleasure tonight to be here, first of all, to publicly recognize a tremendous and generous offer that donation Ms. Wallman gave to our nonprofit organization that came just at the right time. Because right now we are trying to do everything we can to stay afloat for the first year since corporations and other philanthropic associations don't consider us to be receiving grants since we haven't been operating for a year yet. However, we are putting all of our efforts and other volunteers as well that come to our organization, artists from Miami-Dade County, to work with these little artists that are amazing. We consider arts one of the most important parts of our life because when we have nothing else but faith, there comes art. Art is spiritual and it is an educational activity. You can do it at any age. You don't need anything to do it. Just use your brains and whatever part of your body is available. We have seen tremendous innovations made by children, and some of the children are deprived children, so the parents may not be able to pay a regular art school. So there we come, and we offer the best we can. That is a big heart, and we welcome everybody to come and have a great time with us. Now I would like to remind all of you that you're invited this Saturday, February 20th, the cocktail reception for Rosario de Rivera. Is a tremendous artist that is coming from New Jersey, And after the cocktail reception around 9:30, we are going to have a fantastic jazz jam. This is Paquito de Rivera, a 9-time Grammy Award winner, that is coming to our place. And he's bringing a kid that is 15 years of age, a Cuban prodigy in the piano, that is going to delight us with a lot of interpretation. So this is old school, new school, Homestead school. You're welcome to come to our jam. I hope you can make it. It's going to be a fantastic place. And maybe after this event on Saturday, we can create our own mini jazz festival in Homestead. We have great talent here, especially young people that are avid to go out there and show everybody what they got. Now my kids, because all of them, they're mine. I don't have to give you details. Okay, they are going to do a little presentation because they wanted to tell you why art is important for you. Thank you.
Hold the mic down, yeah. There you go.
Okay, showtime. Say hello.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Destiny Alexandra Ramirez, and I am 9. My school name is West Homestead Elementary, and what art has done for me is control my anger, and I learned how to do textures. There's a secret ingredient that I cannot tell you, but
The thing is, we made them swear that they will not tell anybody the professional technique they developed with the artists. So they call it the secret recipe or the secret ingredients. So what you see there is professional technique, but the painting is still naive because it's nonsensical for a child to paint like an adult. They have to do things at their own level. But what we do is we try to go green as much as we can. So we are using a lot of things to create these textures that you find in your household. But they have to mix them in a certain way to create what you're seeing in the walls that is very beautiful and for them to be durable. But they cannot tell you the ingredients. That's what she meant.
Thank you.
hello, my name is Antonio Franco, and my school, I'm 9 years old, and my school is Airbase Elementary School. And what I learned of art is that it stimulates the mind. When you are angry, it gives you focus, and then it takes your anger away. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on, next.
Hi.
Hello, my name is Rafael Zoala, and I'm here. Art can control my anger issues and can also develop my mind. And I once had a problem in school, but Miss Natalie and Carlos, they accepted me anywhere I was, how I was. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, crap. Okay, we've lost the top one. Okay, good. Go ahead.
You can speak.
Hello, my name is Natalie Fellow. My name is, my age is 6 years old. Huh? My school is, my school?
Yes.
And my school is Airbase Elementary.
That's it. Thank you. I'm sorry. This was no plan. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you.
It's good. You want to say anything? Okay. As you can see, these are challenging children.
No harm.
So if anyone would like to go down and visit the gallery or make a donation, they can certainly use it. Thank you. Thank you.
Do we have the address
Bye.
of the location? The address of the gallery?
Do you want to put this? Oh, yes.
The address of the gallery?
Just
Yes, sorry. Yes. Yeah, the address is 51 North Crum Avenue. We are just across Losser Park, half a block from the police station. And we're open Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And every month we have a new exhibit, and it's open to the public. And we start the cocktail reception for the artists, for the community to meet the artists at 7, and it lasts until the last person leaves. So.
We need a quick picture.
Oh.
One more. You see the little...
Cheese.
Cheese. Thank you. Good night.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Ms. Homestead, Ms. Brittany Baronis to come forward. You had limited time here. Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Welcome.
I would like to give thanks to the City of Homestead for allowing me to speak to you today about the Miss Homestead Pageant Foundation and the wonderful time that I've had working with the community as their ambassador. I would like to thank the City Council for always being very supportive of the Miss Homestead Scholarship Foundation. Some of you have been kind enough to support our scholarship fund with personal donations and volunteer time. For that, the young women of Homestead thank you. For those of you who are not familiar with the Miss Homestead pageant, it has been a part of our community since 1987. Oh, that's older than me. I had to put that in there, you know. Anyways, the Miss Homestead pageant is not just any pageant. It represents an opportunity of a lifetime for many young women. It rewards us with the opportunity to continue our education through scholarships. It teaches us the value of persistence and hard work. Personally, it has allowed me to use my platform as Ms. Homestead to reach out to young girls in our community and educate them about the importance of higher education and goal setting. You'll be very surprised how many young women are reached through the pageant. Being Miss Homestead has been such a wonderful experience for me. I not only had the privilege to meet so many wonderful people, but it also gave me the opportunity to get involved in my community. The experience has allowed me to really reach out to help and inspire others. As Ms. Homestead, I had the opportunity to raise money and awareness for autism research, something very close to my heart and a struggle that still continues today. Over the years, the Miss Homestead pageant has encouraged young women to believe in yourself, to never back down from the obstacles that are in your way and to pursue your dreams. It has also built my self-confidence and gave me preparation to take on any challenge. You see, this pageant is not only about beauty, but it is also about encouraging girls to strive for excellence. It has been such an honor to represent my community as Ms. Homestead. I know that I would have not been able to do it without the support of my community and the support of so many of you. Thank you once again, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
I would just like to say, too, if I could, Brittany's been very instrumental in the Autism Foundation. She's been very instrumental in helping my son, 14-year-old autistic child, and she's my hero.
Thank you. Yes, the pageant is February 27th, so I will be passing my crown on. But please, we're selling tickets. You are all more than welcome to be there. I encourage you, please come out and support the Miss Homestead Foundation. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my God, I'm going to cry. Brittany put on a wonderful, wonderful fundraiser for autism. It was a karaoke night, and unfortunately her father paid to have me sing. And that kind of cleared the house. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Next on the agenda is a proclamation honoring Katie Edwards, and I saw her in the back, and now I don't see her.
There she is.
Oh, there she is. Katie has been a mover and a shaker in our community for several years. She is always present. She has been the executive director for the Florida Farm Bureau. Actually, she became the youngest executive director for the Farm Bureau in the state of Florida. And she is known throughout Florida as a voice for the Miami-Dade County's $2.4 billion agricultural industry. In addition to managing the 4,000 plus members, she maintains governmental, media, and industry relations. Katie's focus at the Farm Bureau has consistently been on protecting the economic conditions of agriculture. Her achievements include being the founder of Florida Agri Women, a network of women promoting Florida agriculture to legislators. Her volunteer work includes many agricultural organizations as well as the American Red Cross. And with all that being said, she's also running for state representative, District 119, in the November 2nd, 2010 election. And Katie, I'd like to give you an honor tonight. This is a proclamation from Ms. Edwards. It says, whereas Katie Edwards came to Homestead in 2003 as a young professional determined to make an impact and to make a difference in the community, and whereas Katie Edwards joined the South Bay community as a newcomer with no family or friends in Homestead, some orphan here, in July 2003, and where she began her tenure with the Dade County Farm Bureau, and whereas Katie Edwards has become one of Southwest Miami-Dade County's most respected community leaders, living up to her personal motto that you must bloom, she's going to cry, where you are planted. I love that. You must bloom where you are planted. And whereas Katie Edwards' commitment to serving as an advocate for the communities that comprise Southwest Miami-Dade County led her to run for state representative in District 119, and whereas Katie Edwards is a fine example to all of the new residents of the city of Homestead of how newcomers can truly make Homestead their home by active involvement in the community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Stephen C. Bateman, Mayor of the City of Homestead, Florida, and the Homestead City Council do hereby proclaim Tuesday, February 16th, 2010 as Katie Edwards Day in Homestead.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Mayor and Council members. And I don't know who wrote this, but it's very nice. And I did come here in 2003 with no family and friends. I came here to take a job with Dade County Farm Bureau. But tonight, I have my family here, my adopted family. Larry and Gloria Dunnigan, they're here tonight, and lots of family and friends. And I just want to thank everyone for embracing me and making me feel like a true part of this community. And for those people watching tonight who are not from Homestead, I would encourage you to follow suit. You know, Councilman Shelley and I, we came here about the same time, and he's one of our newest elected council members. So I think there's plenty of chances to be involved with things like Homestead Young Professionals. And I think don't just get on the turnpike and go north and go to your job. Really make Homestead your home and make it a great place to be. That's what I've done. I encourage you to do the same. So thank you very much. I'm proud to be a Homestead girl. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, last one tonight, but very special one to me. I'd like to ask Pauline Abshire and the member of the ABWA Homestead Charter Chapter to come forward, please. All members of the ABWA Homestead Charter Chapter. As they make their way forward, come on, girls.
Come on, ladies.
Diana. She's not coming. Lena. Okay. As everybody makes their way forward, it's not every day that a daughter can give honor to her mom. I may have to get somebody else to read this. Somebody's hitting in the back. This is my mother, and my mom was elected to be the 2010 Woman of the Year for the American Businesswomen's Association. So, Mom, I have something special for you. Okay. And these are my ABWA sisters, all of them. We've been together for too many years, I'll tell you. Whereas Pauline Abshire was born in Hardy, Kentucky, and moved to Homestead in 1960 with her husband Wyatt and children Judith and Michael. This was a significant move for the Abshire family, being direct descendants of Daniel Boone and Rebecca Justice. And whereas Pauline Abshire began working as a cosmetician at Breeding's Drugstore, Ms. Campbell, you'll remember that, located on Chrome Avenue, where she worked until the drugstore closed. She continued her career as a licensed cosmetician with Superec Drugs, Gray Drugs, Eckerd Pharmacy, Rite Aid, excuse me, and retired from CVS Pharmacy. And whereas Pauline Abshire became a full-time volunteer in her community after retirement, she is a longtime volunteer for Homestead Hospital, the American Cancer Society, the Old Town Hall, and she has been honored as Woman of the Year and Volunteer of the Year for the American Cancer Society organization. And whereas Pauline Abshire has been a dedicated member of the American Businesswomen's Association Homestead Charter Chapter since 1989 and devoted much of her attention to making the chapter successful. And whereas Pauline Abshire is being honored as the American Businesswomen's Association's Homestead Charter Chapter Woman of the Year, now therefore I, Stephen C. Bateman, the Mayor of the City of Homestead, Florida, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, February 16th, 2003 as Pauline Abshire Day. Okay.
Thank you so much to everyone, and I hope I deserve this. Thank you. I have one more thing to say, and I'd like for maybe Luana to come up and tell about our bunco. Oh. We got a project going on now.
Let's hear about it.
I mean, you'd love that.
On the 26th of this month, ABWA is having a bunco night over at the Villages of Homestead. Tickets are available. I think you can get, Judy can tell you how to get tickets.
Call me.
Yes. And it starts at 6:30, and the tickets are $25. Thank you.
And all the money goes to scholarships.
Yeah, scholarships for for the young people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Want to take this with you?
And Mayor, I know we're running late, but my mother is such a big fan and worked so hard on the last campaign. So can I ask Mayor and Council to please come down here so we can take a picture, please? Hey, girls. You gotta come step out.
Yes, but aren't they going to take a picture of all of us? Oh my gosh.
Okay, we'll take just a second to let the audience settle and clear out if they're going. If they're staying, please stay. Now, I know it took a little time to get to, the public input and the proclamations I think it's so important to continue to bring this community together. And I think tonight was a perfect example of bringing your community together. No disrespect, no pun intended, from old to young to across the board. I think that you can see that we're united here, and we got great things ahead of us, and I look forward to them. The next thing on the agenda is item 6, is the consent agenda. I will entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Burgess. Moved by Mr. Burgess and seconded by Mr. Williams. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Next item, public hearing ordinances, land use items, etc. Mr. Attorney, City Attorney. Yes, please.
Mayor, James White will start off on this.
Sir?
James White will start off on this.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. White. Yes, please be advised the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon any of these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. Swearing in. All testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to be either cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record, and persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2-591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning any items on the agenda. Hearing none at this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify on any of the following quasi-judicial items.
Would you please stand and raise your right hand? I state your name. Hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. You may be seated.
Tab 9 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting a waiver of plat to DDR Realty Corp. for the division of property totaling approximately 3.73 acres into 3 parcels located within the Homestead Pavilion as Tract E out parcel as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. Okay. Motion to move by the Vice Mayor Wallman. Second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Lobos. Staff report.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, this is a very simple subdivision of land. The simplest form that a subdivision of land can take place via waiver of plat, and it basically entails a 3.73 acre vacant site that's going to be subdivided. It has been reviewed by, staff, surveyor pursuant to statute, and we're hereby recommending that you approve this subdivision.
Okay, 1 second. Would the applicant like to speak? Is the applicant here? Would they like to say anything? Okay, sir. Do we have anyone in the council? Any questions from council? Questions from the public on this matter? Questions for the public at this time? All right, I'll close the public hearing at this time. We're hearing no further questions. Any further comment from council? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobo?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Waldman? Yes. Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item D. Yes, tab 10. Moving on to tab 10. Tab 10 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting final plat approval for a commercial retail center on approximately 6.1 acres of land located on the south side of 312th Street, Campbell Drive, and east of Southwest 167th Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. Entertain a motion.
I'll second it. I move second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Burgess, second by Mr. Williams. Staff report?
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, this is the final plat of the Sunny Lee development. This application in particular has gone through preliminary or tentative plat, and this is the last component, the last step in the platting process. It has, the site plan has been previously reviewed as well and approved by this board, by this body. We hereby, the application complies with all the, the requirements such as the fact that it was reviewed by an independent surveyor. It went through the development review committee, and and all those steps. We're hereby recommending approval.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to present? Is the applicant here? Okay, thank you. Question from council? Okay. Questions from the public? Would anyone like to speak from the public? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing. Any final questions from council? Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Waldman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 3, see legislative matters. Second reading. Yes, tab 11, item 3A is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 28 Utilities to create Division 4 Landscape Irrigation to provide for implementation of the water conservation rules for landscape irrigation of the South Florida Water Management District, providing for enforcement, providing for penalties, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, conflicts, and providing for an effective date. This is second reading.
I move it.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Maldonado. Staff report?
Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, this is one of the steps, and the subsequent, there's a series of ordinances that are being proposed tonight that are, as a matter of follow-up, to be consistent with the consent agreement that you entered into last December with the South Florida Regional Planning Council when it comes to water conservation, and these are different steps that we're taking in that endeavor with that goal.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Questions from council? Any questions from council? Comments from the public? Final comments from council? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Waldman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos? Yes. Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item, second reading, tab 12, ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending Ordinance 2009-0924, providing for amendment of Community Redevelopment Agency, CRA budget for the fiscal year which commenced on October 1, 2009, in order to decrease both the revenue and expense budget for the CRA by $236,300, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
I move to amend the 2009-2010 CRA budget.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Staff report?
Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, this is, as you recall, the step that we needed to take in order to align the previously approved CRA budget with the subsequent millage rate adjustment that took place after the county adjusted, the new, like this year's millage rate. So it'll balance our budget and align those projects that we had anticipated. The difference was obviously in that neighborhood of the $236,000 with $236,300,000 to be exact.
Thank you, sir. Questions from council? Comments from the public? Hearing no further final comments, roll call vote, please.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Waldman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Second reading,
Thank you,
tab
Mayor.
14.
It's ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending City Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, Boards, Committees, Commissions, Division 1, generally, by amending Section 268, Membership Composition, to provide for a citizen's application for appointment to the boards, and further providing that the term of office for board members shall run concurrent with the mayor's term of office, repealing Division 3.5, Education Committee, reestablishing Division 3.5 Education Committee in order to provide consistent structure and operating procedure with other city boards, providing for the expiration of the term of current board members, providing for removal of repealed provisions from the city code, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. A motion?
I move it.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Second.
Second it.
Thank you, Mr. Maldonado. Staff report?
If I may handle this, Mayor, very briefly, this is the second reading of this ordinance. It provides additional citizen input into the board appointment process by providing for the city clerk to post notices of the vacancies and encourage residents and members of the public to apply for openings on the boards. Likewise recognizes that the council members will recommend appointments for the boards to the mayor, and those will be considered on the various council agendas. It also provides that board members serve a 2-year term or until the appointing mayor leaves office, whichever event occurs first. It also repeals and then recreates the new Education Committee to bring that board in line with the updated ordinance provisions concerning boards.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Questions from council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I just want to renew my objection and point out my concerns for 2.68 subsection 6 that was stated on the record at the last meeting. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Any further questions from council? Questions from the public? Any final questions from council? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Waldman? Yes. Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Lolo? Yes. Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
No.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next ordinance, first reading.
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending Section 2-173, membership of Division 7, Planning and Zoning Board, and amending Section 268, membership composition of Division 1 in general of Article 3, Boards, Commissions, Committees of Chapter 2, Administration of the City of Homestead Code of Ordinances, in order to provide uniform residency requirements for all city boards, commissions, and committees, and to eliminate mandatory background investigations for all advisory board members, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
So moved, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Burgess. Staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. This ordinance is a further amendment to the board ordinances. One of the main purposes is to amend the Planning and Zoning Board to provide that a majority of persons on that board have to be residents of the city. Currently, that ordinance provides for all members of that board to be residents of the city, so this will allow additional people to be able to serve on the Planning and Zoning Board by conforming that to the other city board ordinance. And likewise, this ordinance will be further amended to conform to the ordinance that you just adopted a few minutes ago. One of the other main purposes of this ordinance is that it takes away the provision that presently provides that all prospective board members shall be subject to a background investigation prior to appointment to a board. If this ordinance is adopted on second reading, what this will do will be to delete that provision so that mandatory background investigation will no longer be required before appointment to a board. That background investigation was something that was added on by an ordinance last year. It's not a provision that the city normally had or maintained. It's a provision of recent adoption.
Thank you, Mr.
Mayor.
City Attorney. Yes, Mr.
I've just got one concern about
Yes, sir.
that. I know we have some boards that deal with children. How are we going to address that? I think that, I understand where the move is going, but what about our Mayor's Youth Council and, persons who work with that besides the chairperson?
Well, I think that was one of the biggest concerns that I heard out loud was that we were background checking young children, financial, Social Security, et cetera, et cetera. I know, but it's just the flip of what you're saying. That's what I'm hearing.
So,
and Mr. Burgess, I think you can probably shed more light on that than I can.
So we were doing background checks on children, or we doing background checks on those who work with the youth council?
Children.
Okay.
And
Look, this board here, this council here doesn't get a background check, but yet we're taking your board and doing background checks on children.
And it has put a hardship on some of the children. I believe some of the parents have been reluctant to allow their children to come forward, not for any reason that they've been in trouble or anything, but just that they don't want to, they don't believe in subjecting it to them.
Now, if I may, Mr. Mayor, just to address the issue of background checks on and how it relates to those positions that more than likely have any contact with children, we do, and this will not affect.
That was my question.
And we will continue to perform background investigations on people that have direct contact with children, such as in our Parks Department, Police Department, etc. At the board level, when you don't have that contact, none whatsoever, this is what this will affect. Not in no shape or form it would affect. We will continue to practice that as a matter of policy to conduct those checks.
Well, see, that's what the, Mayor, through you, please, if I can get the floor again. That's what I was unaware that we were doing background checks on children. So the age for, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilman Burgess, what is the age limit of your youth council?
Well, we take 9th through 12th graders. Oh. So they could be, as old as 18, but the majority of them would be under 18 years old.
And we were doing background checks on them?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay.
Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Maldonado.
I have the floor. My only concern, well, if staff can give me some background on what we're talking about here today. My concern is, as the chair of the Education Committee, and I know that our board is more of an advisory board, but I know that in the past that board members that were in the past board would visit schools maybe on a certain occasion or something in that nature. And that would be really my only concern in reference with the change of this this ordinance. So maybe if we can make an amend or maybe put some type of policy in place, at least for those that go out to the Education Committee. That would be my only concern. And the reason why I say this is because I know in the past the past board members would go to schools and certain functions, and that would be my only concern for the safety of the kids. That would be on the Education Committee, so I don't know if we want to put it just for the Education Committee.
I think that's fine. I think the whole reason to really was to point this out is that we really were carrying it a little too far with some of our background checks. It was almost an invasion of privacy. I've been with the Kiwanis Club for 27 years, and we have the Bug Award, and we go to schools monthly, and we read to different children at different levels, from 1st grade to 4th grade. And we don't require our Kiwanians to have a background check to go do community service. I just think that it was overburdened, but whatever we do one-on-one with children, such as Park and Recs, I think we do background checks, do we not?
Yes, we do.
Mayor, I have
And the part is, we've investigated this. There's no halfway check. It's full-blown Social Security, finance, et cetera, et cetera. It's a heavy-duty background check on a 15-year-old child. Yes, Ms. Lobos.
Thank you. My concern with this is the Planning and Zoning Board. We are striking out that the 7 members of the Planning and Zoning Board be residents, and I think that the Planning and Zoning Board is unlike any other committee or board in that it really does make decisions that affect the city of Homestead. So while I'm open to having the majority on other boards and committees, I think that for the Planning and Zoning Board, I would move to say that the Planning and Zoning Board should be composed of 7 voting members who reside within the city of Homestead.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that. And that's a different issue completely from what we just were talking about. And that is the whole idea of opening up 51% residents, 49 business owners, so that we can get some input from our architects, our engineers, and our contractors who may live just outside the city limits of Homestead, but yet participate every day and every week and every month in our community activities and building this community to be a better place to live. And I've heard it over and over again. You know, I'm an architect, and I'd love to serve on your board, and who better than have an architect on the Planning and Zoning Board, but yet I don't live in Homestead, I live on just on the outside edge. And I think that's what we're trying to do. We're not going to lose the control of it because there's 51%. That's a board that I look very closely at. 51% resident homeowners, 49% local business people.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
And that was something I was going to raise as well, was the being a person who was just on the Planning and Zoning Board. I think it is critical to have the persons be residents, and I was going to ask what the reason was for striking that out. And so if the reasoning is to allow that business
aspect.
Yeah, business people who live here in the city, who have interest here in the city, to serve on that board. I'm not opposed to that. However, I think we need to maybe shore up the qualifications, because right now it's very open-ended. It just states specifically that a non-resident, essentially two non-residents, they could be from North Miami, anywhere. There's no restrictions. So I think if that's our goal, we need to specifically write that into our ordinance. It states that maybe it can only be a business owner, you have to have a business license, you have to operate a business here in the city of Homestead, and maybe make them a long-term business owner, so it's not just someone that moves in. Maybe it's 3 years or something, a little bit higher level there, and put that into the code. I'd be more comfortable with it at that time. I think something, if it's the council's...
If he's making a motion, I would second that, Mayor. Okay.
I'll make it a motion.
Yeah, it's motions on the floor. Second motion made by Mr. Shelley, seconded by the Vice Mayor. Ms. Wallman, Mr. Burgess.
Comments, if I may.
Comments, please.
Yeah, like us, I feel like Councilman Shelley and Councilman Lobos, I think the Planning and Zoning Board is as important as we are. When there are our eyes and ears before it gets to us. So I think it's very important that we have some credibility and some accountability there. And I think that what Mr. Shelley is saying, maybe we give 2 seats to people that aren't residents but that are business owners, would make me much more comfortable than giving, possibly 3 seats to people that aren't residents or business owners that have no stake in what's going on down here. So I would be more comfortable with Mr. Shelley's motion that he made than what's been presented earlier this evening in the original reading. Thank you.
Okay. That sounds fair to me. The whole idea is to open it up to some of the local business people who have spent 10, 20 years here, who are really dedicated and entrenched in this community, and we need to get their input. I hear it over and over again. Why can't I vote? Well, it's not our say. It's not even a state issue. It's a federal issue. Many business owners here cannot understand why they can't vote, let alone serve on city boards. That some of them have been here 30 years plus in business. But the motion is on. Second. All in favor?
Just to clarify the motion, that we're going to have 5 residents and possibly 2 business owners?
Mr. Attorney.
That's correct. That's my understanding of the motion, that this would be amended to provide that the 2 persons who are not residents be owners of businesses in the city.
Right, and probably some sort of a time frame, such as, I just arbitrarily threw out 3 years, but if you want to bring that language back for the second reading, we can work on it. That's fine.
You can pose the 3 years now is fine. Anything further?
What reading is this? This is the first reading. Okay.
Any further questions from council? Mr. Mullen?
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Mayor, the motion was adopted. Now the only remaining item on this will be to adopt the ordinance as amended.
Okay. You need a motion to adopt the ordinance as amended?
I'll move it.
Okay, Ms. Williams, thank you. Second. Ms. Lobos, thank you. Roll call vote. Do we need that? Yeah.
Councilman Maldonado,
Yes.
Councilman Shelley,
Yes.
Councilman Williams,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Waldman,
Yes.
Councilman Burgess,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos,
Yes.
Mayor Bateman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. All right. Next item. First reading again. On the motion.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
An ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, establishing the Homestead Policing and Crime Watch Advisory Board by creating Division 11, Homestead Policing and Crime Watch Advisory Board of Article 3, Boards, Committees, Commissions of Chapter 2, Administration of the City Code, providing for the qualification and appointment of members to the board, establishing the jurisdiction of the board, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing an effective date.
I'll move it.
Thank you, Mr. Burgess. Second. Shirley, thank you. Staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the first reading of the proposed ordinance that would create a new board. The purpose of the new board would be in the area of policing and crime watch. The board member qualifications, beyond having a supermajority of members who are residents of the city, is that each member shall either live, work, or possess some demonstrated interest in the city. Majority of the members on the board would be residents of the city. Purposes of the board would be to provide a forum that encourages and facilitates opportunities for city residents and business owners to become involved with one of the various crime watch groups operating within the city. Also create a forum for public education and communication in the area, and foster communication between the various crime watch groups, as well as other duties that might be assigned to the new board by the city council or city manager.
Question, Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Lobos.
Thank you. I'd like to ask why the current procedures are inconsistent as far as this board is concerned with the general membership, the number of members. This states that it's 15, as well as the terms of office.
I can answer that, at least a number. This is a board that I have asked to bring forward. There's been an outcry of community policing, not only commercially, but strongly for residential. So different parts of our community have come forward, and I can identify up to 10 communities now that we have community leaders, our neighborhood crime watch people now, who have come forward and said, you know, we'd like to have some type of contact with your community policing program or with your police department. The chief and I have sat and talked briefly on this, and put me in touch with the current crime watch coordinator for the police department, and we are now trying to build not just four corners of our community, but every single neighborhood of our community, whether it be 7 different gated communities in Keysgate, whether it be 2 different areas in the southwest, the northwest, the northeast. And the number we came up with really was kind of a generic number, because there's never enough community policing. So that's where I came about with the number here. It wasn't that I was trying to not be consistent. I just did not think 7 members were enough for community policing.
I have a follow-up question to the second part, which was, and the term of office for these members would be the same as the rest of the boards and committees?
Yes, the term, if I may answer that, the term is consistent with the other boards, which is a 2-year term or the expiration of the mayor's term, whichever is sooner. That's correct.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Burgess.
I got a note, an email the other day asking for recommendations where you asked us each for one. If we came up with more than one candidate, are we allowed to submit more than one?
I think what to answer your question along with Mrs. Lobos, is it's one of the same, is that we're trying to keep this a controllable board, and the number might exceed what we even have here. It looks like it won't, but I think per neighborhood, 1 would be enough, because we hope to meet quarterly on this with each neighborhood crime watch person here at City Hall. So I think one per neighborhood, if you're asking for more than one for Eastlake?
No, I was thinking Keysgate in general. I know we've got 12 or 13 individual neighborhoods.
Exactly.
And everybody's got a delegate. And what I've done is I'm going to ask and I've spoken to the chairman of the delegates over there. He's going to present it to the delegates and see if they can come to a conclusion of one person to represent the Keysgate area on this board. And then that way the delegates who are in touch with people every day and all that too in the different neighborhoods that I may not see through other businesses will be out there helping us in another way. And I just thought if they've got 13 people and if they can't come to an agreement on one guy or lady, that maybe then I may ask to see if I can move 2 people forward or something. I was just wondering what
I don't see a problem with that. The goal was to try to touch each neighborhood. Again, whether it's gated or not, a community whole idea was to have a representative from each neighborhood community, someone that has the eyes and ears that may be there all day long, that may not, may be a stay-at-home dad or stay-at-home mom or whatever, someone that can communicate with our officer who will identify with that individual at least quarterly and talk about the goods and bads of that neighborhood and what we can do as a community policing to secure the neighborhood even more, to make the neighborhood safer. That was the whole goal. So again, 13, I hope that we hit it, but I'm not sure if we did or not.
Mayor, Mayor,
yes.
I potentially see a concern because, as Mr. Burgess raised, if there are so many delegates in so many areas, then in one area you can have 5 or 6 persons, and then in another area you can have 1. And so how would you balance that?
Well, that's what I said in the Southwest. If there's not
I'm not
a
just talking about Southwest. I'm just talking about
Northwest.
Either way, if you have 7 or 5 from Keysgate, or 7 or how many, I mean, how can you balance that when you've got maybe 1 person from each other section of town? It's not.
And
it's going to be a problem.
It could apply to Waterstone as well. So we need to work on it. We've had. This is the start, the very beginning of it. I think it's a good start. If the number 13 doesn't work, or whatever it is, 13, then we will come back to this council and say the number doesn't work. But I think we're being proactive by starting. The chief and I sat down and spent, an hour on different community policing items. This was one of them. And if that number that we have come up with is not the right number, we will definitely balance it and adjust it.
I think that in the number, I think it needs to be fair across the board. If it's 2 people per seat or area, it should be 2. If we start doing 5 and 7 from one area because of the makeup of the land, we're going to have some problems. And I think if we arrive at a number, if we have 2 from the Northwest, 2 from the Southwest, 2 from Keysgate, and those persons report back to the delegates, I think you have a fair system. But if you have 5 or 6 from one area, it's going to create a problem.
Well, I don't mind if there's 14, so there's 2 per seat. It doesn't bother me if there's 35, because now we have 35 eyes looking at our community, 35 eyes that are calling our police department, 35 eyes that are saying, look, we see some bad element in our area. And whether it's I don't know, John, what size is Eastlake? How many houses are in Eastlake?
We're 140.
140 houses in one neighborhood and 230 maybe in another neighborhood. Those are all, areas that you may have individual homeowners who may want to be part of this community policing. So I don't really know if it works. I know we wanted to get it started. We looked at it, and we can bring the number back. We don't know how popular it's going to be or how popular it's not going to be. We're hoping to get our community to buy in, and that we get a contact name and number from these different individuals that will bring forward information that they feel is not quite right in their community or in their neighborhood.
Mayor,
Yes.
not to continue to harp on the same item, but if the 7 are going to be nominated by each council member here, how are the remaining, maybe we can do something with the remaining 8, because there's a total of 15. With the remaining 8, can you just at least be specific as to how those 8 are going to be selected?
I don't know, I think what we should do at this point, only because I really want to see this program go, is we might should table this and go to a workshop on it, because I really believe that 13's probably, or 14, or 15's not even the right number. The number again may be up in the 20s or 30s. The whole idea is to get as much community input as you can possibly get from your community. And it's not a monthly meeting, it's a quarterly meeting. So they're going to meet 4 times a year to discuss their particular area.
Well, Mayor, I'll move it, that we go ahead and approve it, but I think that the next time it comes back, or however we have a workshop in between, that it is definitely specified, so that, because what I wouldn't like to see happen, I'm great for the concept. I think it's a wonderful idea. I'm talking about the fairness and the consistency of what we're trying to do here. So I'll move it to approve it, that you come back, or the attorneys come back with a define on how the members will be chosen. One aspect of that, you ask for recommendation from each person, but then, I think that that is a great concept and idea. We're not trying to block it, but I think that it needs to be a little bit more defined in that. So I will move it, not trying to hinder the process, but trying to get clarity so that we're consistent in what we're doing, and that it's fair for each area.
Mr. Mayor?
I'll second it with a comment, Mayor.
Okay, we've got a motion on the table by Mr. Williams, and a second by the Vice Mayor Wallman. The floor is yours, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Rather than see this be tabled, I would suggest that we each submit 2 names. I know I want to have someone from the Oasis seat, but I also have chosen someone from the downtown business area who owns and operates a business in the downtown district. So I think the mayor could go over the list of names that we bring forward, and he could select, because I'm with you. I don't want to see this prolonged any longer than we have to.
And I don't think too many. There's no such thing as too many. But thank you, Ms. Wallman. Mr. Shelley.
I just had a question, because I have similar concerns, making sure that it's a fair, not so much the numbers, I don't care about the numbers as much as it's fair representation, equal representation. But I just have a general question. How is it envisioned that this committee is going to run? Is it going to be 15 voting members, and they're going to have public meetings, and the public's going to show up and express concerns to them as well? Or is it going to be kind of a, they're just all going to meet, and they're going to kind of directly dictate to the chief or to the police department that these concerns are from their neighbors? How is this actually going to process? I mean, how is it going to work?
The way that we envisioned, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Chief, was that quarterly we would call 13, 25, or 30 members of this community policing organization or team or committee to City Hall, whether it be in this chambers or whether it be in the manager's chambers, and we would get input on a quarterly basis of how things looked in their immediate neighborhood. Chief, any input here? You want to give me a little? Is that what we talked about doing, right? We said, look, our community policing department now, they have great contacts, correct? They have good contacts in different areas of the community. We said, why not grow that? Why not grow that to everyone, anyone that wants to get involved in this community policing? And that's where Chief Earl and I came up with the idea of a community policing quarterly basis to work with the immediate team that you have as police officers.
So it's not necessarily like a voting board as much as it is just a direct lifeline to the police department. So they don't have to go through all these different people. They have a set meeting. They can get all the complaints from their neighborhood. Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure.
They could just vent, and actually in that meeting we called it the Tattletale Group. We laughed and joked and said, look, we need tattletales. We want more tattletales in Homestead to tell us what's going on. We want to know what's going on in the Northwest. We want to know what's going on in the South. We want to know what's going on in the Northeast. So the whole idea was to try to draw as many people in as we could, but try to keep it per neighborhood. A neighborhood meaning it doesn't matter. You could have 5 from one area if you wanted to. As long as they had good input, shut up the meeting quarterly, and gave us that information. And they would have a direct line to that community policing officer. Any further questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Yes. Okay, roll call.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Waldman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado.
Yes.
Councilman Shelley.
Yes.
Mayor Bateman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Move on. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. First reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, establishing the Homestead, Florida City Community Relations Board in conjunction with Florida City by creating a new Division 4, Homestead, Florida City Community Relations Board of Article 3, Boards, Committees, Commissions of Chapter 2, Administration of the City Code, providing for the qualification and appointment of members to the board, establishing terms of office for board members, providing for rules of procedure for the board, and repealing Division 4, Homestead Community Relations Board of Article 3, Boards, Commissions, Committees of Chapter 2, Administration of the City Code, providing for the removal of repealed provisions of the code, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Motion? I'll entertain a motion.
I would make that motion, Mayor.
A motion by the Vice Mayor. Seconded by Mr. Maldonado. Staff report?
Thank you, Mayor. This item provides for the creation of a new board could be a combined board of both the City of Homestead and our friends to the south in the City of Florida City. And this would be in lieu of the current Homestead Community Relations Board. So this consolidated board would have members from both of the two cities who would be appointed through the governing body process of those two cities, and provides for them to work on sensitivity forums related to diversity and various other components to make sure that ethnic and racial and other types of problems are addressed in the open in a productive manner, and be happy to answer any other questions on that.
Any questions from council?
I've got one question.
Yes, Mr. Burgess.
I know in the past it seemed that Homestead paid all the bills. Are we going to be, I don't know if anybody's reached out to Florida City and seen, are we going to be splitting the bills?
Yes, sir, I can answer that for you. Thank you. I've had a couple different conversations with Mayor Wallace, and he is eagerly waiting to have this final reading, first reading and final reading, and he has stated publicly he is willing to split any and all bills.
Thank you.
Two cities, one community. Anything further?
Yes, Mayor Bateman.
Please. Ms.
For the
Moore.
record, I know that I stated at the committee of the whole that I was all for the concept of Florida City and Homestead merging again, and I also expressed a concern that Councilman Burgess had just stated, and I was pleased to see in this ordinance that we are saying that both cities are going to be responsible for the expenses of the board, so I support it.
Thank you. Comment from the public? Hearing no final comment from the... Yes, please. Take the podium.
Kevin Sullivan, 1860 Southeast 6th Court. My only comment, Mr. Mayor, is the prior two readings, you didn't allow public comment.
Is there something you wanted to say from the...
Well, I would have liked to spoken on the issue about the zoning board.
Okay. Would you...
Most
Can
happy.
we back up?
Just technically, Mayor, being you didn't do anything wrong because those were first readings.
Right.
This one, you happened to call for a public comment, but, if the gentleman has public comment on the Planning and Zoning Board, he'll be able to give it at the public
Final
hearing.
reading. Okay. We'll have one more reading.
I understand that, thank you, but I just was pointing out you've been very consistent in opening it up to the public, and then for two readings in a row, you didn't.
Just my oversight, sorry. Okay, any final comments from council? Hearing no final comments, roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Waldman? Yes. Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobo? Yes. Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Mr. Turner. Yes, Mayor. Tab 17 is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 6, Building and Building Regulations, to create Article 11, Local Technical Amendments to the Florida Building Code, in order to adopt various local technical amendments to the Florida Building Code to provide for requirements for installation of ultra-low volume plumbing fixtures for new residential and commercial construction and for substantial modifications to existing residential and commercial structures, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date. This is first reading. Motion?
So moved, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Vice Mayor. Second. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Staff report?
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, as I stated earlier, this is another step. In fact, the two subsequent ordinances address the same issue pertaining to the consent agreement that we entered into last December. And these are measures that we're taking in order to effectuate, put in effect that agreement and along the lines of conservation, water conservation.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any other questions from council? Or any further questions? Comments from the public? Comments, not hearing, no final comments from the public. Roll call vote.
Councilman Burgess? Councilman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Waldman? Yes. Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
I was out on that one, so I will
Okay.
refrain.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
So it's gonna take-
Okay, first reading, City Attorney? Yes. Tab 18 is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 28 Utilities, Article 2 Water, Division 2 Service Rate and Charges, Section 2841 Rate Schedule, to amend the water utility rate schedule in order to provide for a conservation-based tiered water utility rate structure, providing for repeal of Section 2841 Rate Schedule, providing for severability, inclusion in the code, conflicts, and an effective date. This is first reading. I entertain a motion.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Maldonado. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Burgess. Staff report.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, this is along the same lines, in concert with the consent agreement, that we entered into with the South Florida Regional, with the water conservation effort that we're pursuing.
Okay. I know it's been a long evening. Any other questions from the actual council here? Hearing no questions.
I have a
from the-
question, Mayor.
Yes, Ms. Lobos.
Because we are moving from a flat rate to a conservation-based tiered rate, which means that the more you use, the more you will pay for your water. The tier rate that we are proposing here, is it pretty standard? I mean, have you looked into it, whether it's pretty standard to other comparable utilities for water around our area?
I believe so, and I'll let the director address it, but we're also adopting other measures that conserve water in terms of, that what we control, we have better controls in place to save money, and you're looking at these measures as we go.
Pardon, Mayor, may I just ask for clarification? You're talking about tab 19?
18.
But as far as water conservation programs, is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay, I'll ask my questions during that tab, but if we could answer that first question, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I can answer that question. Basically, what we've done here is a tiered conservation-based rate structure, very similar to the one that the county has, but we're even more lenient than what the county did. For example, the average flow water demand for a particular resident in the city is around 5,000 gallons per month. We don't really take punitive or higher rates for flows unless they go above 9,000. That's almost double the average. So again, it's a way to, and as a matter of fact, 85% of the residents, the way they are using water now would actually get a discount, because we have lowered the rates as well for the low users, for the users that use less than the average. So again, it's a way to give an incentive for people to conserve water.
And this was just one more way to satisfy South Florida Water Management, right? The district. And these were different suggestions they offered us, and we put them into action, correct?
Correct, yeah, we're mandated to do this, yes.
Okay, any further discussion from council? Any discussion or comment from the audience? Hearing none. Final comments from council. Roll call vote.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Waldman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. It's like the last one, tab 19.
Yes, tab 19 is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 28 Utilities, Article 2 Water, to establish Division 4 Water Conservation Programs, to establish a water fixture retrofit program to encourage and provide for incentives for installation of low-flow water fixtures to increase water conservation among commercial and residential water utility customers, providing for severability, inclusion in the code, conflicts, and providing for an effective date. This is first reading.
Motion, please.
I move it.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Second. Thank you, Ms. Lobos. Staff report.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, this is in line with what I was just referring to. This is some of the measures that we're taking to control that flow and save water.
May I have a question?
Yes, Ms. Lobos.
In regards to this conservation program and replacement of fixtures, how do we go about doing it in the city? Like, how does the city approach the residents to encourage them to replace their fixtures?
We have literature that has come out, that will come out. We will inform them through our website and through the utility bills. And in addition to that, you have any other measure that we...
Well, this program is set to start in April. By that time, we will have the literature out for all residents to know exactly how we'll go about it. Basically, the program will allow for residents in old homes and existing homes to replace up to 2 toilets and 2 shower fixtures in their homes, and they would get $10, a $10 credit for each shower head that they would replace, and a $50 credit on their water bill for every toilet that they replace with a low flow or efficiency type toilet. So that's really what the program entails, and the program goes up to a maximum of 1,000 replacements of each.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further questions from council?
Yes. You're saying that 1,000 replace, that's for the entire city, or?
Correct, yes.
Okay. First come, first served.
Yes.
One more question, Mayor.
Yes, please.
So the 1,000, are both city residents and non-city residents able to apply for that?
Correct, within our service area. If they pay the bill to us, then they will be eligible.
Thank you.
Any further questions from council? The public. Any questions from the public? Yes, sir. State your name and address for the record, please.
Sorry. Ed Hernandez, 2121 Southwest 3rd Avenue, Miami, Florida, 33128. I'm with the South Florida Water Management District. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I want to thank you for your leadership in resolving this issue in the expeditious manner that you've addressed it. It just goes to show the strong bond and cooperative working relationship that we have with your city and that we've enjoyed and will continue to enjoy. And I also like to offer the services of my office to help you in that water conservation campaign, to help get the word out, and to help educate people on the importance of water conservation and protecting this very important resource.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. I tell you, your staff has been a pleasure to deal with. I dealt with them like my first week in office, and it was like, you know, I'm on the phone with 7 members at one time. They were very nice, and it all went very well. So thank you for your input.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Water is very important to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Any further questions from the public? Hearing no further questions. Any further questions from council? Further questions? Roll call vote.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Waldman? Yes. Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobo? Yes. Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 4, business from the city manager. Manager.
None at this time, sir.
Thank you, sir. Business from the city attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to, as you know, this part of the agenda is for the city attorney to report on pending matters for council information and/or action. There's one pending matter that I wanted to report on for your action, and it deals with the status of the termination proceedings for Mr. Shahada. I believe you've each been provided a copy of correspondence we received today from Mr. Shahada's attorney, and in that correspondence, Mr. Shahada, through his attorney, has withdrawn his request for a public hearing on his termination. Accordingly, at this time, I'd like to ask the council to consider two motions. One would be a motion to add to this portion of the agenda a potential action item concerning the status of that public hearing which was scheduled for tomorrow. So at this time I'd like to ask the council if someone would make a motion to add a matter concerning discussion of the termination hearing for Mr. Shahada.
So move. Second.
I'll second it.
Okay, moved by Mr. Williams and seconded by Mr. Burgess.
And if you could have a vote on it at that time, and then I'll further proceed into the item.
Roll call vote.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Waldman? Yes. Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobo? Yes. Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before requesting council further action on this, I'd like to just, for the record, just state certain factors and bring the latest status up to date. As you all know, Section 502B of the City Charter provides, among other things, that if the council wishes to remove the manager at any time after the manager has served 6 months in that position, the manager may demand written charges and a public hearing before the council. In such event, his or her final removal shall not take effect until such hearing has been held. That's the wording of the charter. As you all know, January 29, 2010, Mr. Shahada's legal counsel demanded written charges and a public hearing regarding Mr. Shahada's potential termination from employment. As you also know, on February 3, 2010, this City Council adopted a motion to terminate Mr. Shahada for conduct unbecoming a public official pursuant to Section 3.2 of his employment agreement with the City. The Council also scheduled the public hearing concerning Mr. Shahada's termination for February 17, 2010 at 7 p.m. On February 11, 2010, the Council amended its February 3, 2010 motion to include additional grounds for Mr. Shahada's termination for conduct unbecoming a public official pursuant to Section 3.2 of his employment agreement with the City. You also are aware that on February 12, 2010, Mr. Shahada was provided with written charges setting forth the basis for his termination and other documents and taped statements supporting the written charges. Earlier today, Mr. Shahada's attorney advised us that Mr. Shahada was requesting that the public hearing be canceled. He has since clarified this request by specifically stating that he has withdrawn his request for a public hearing. In light of the foregoing, which I've advised you of, there is no legal reason to hold the public hearing on his termination tomorrow evening. That is, unless the council wants, for some reason, to have the meeting for the exclusive purpose of allowing public comment on his termination. So that unless the council wants the hearing for that reason, we suggest and recommend that the council make the following motion at tonight's hearing. So this is the motion that I would request that the council member make and be discussed and adopted. The motion that I would recommend would be to cancel the February 17, 2010 public hearing concerning termination of City Manager Mike Shahada for conduct unbecoming a public official pursuant to Section 3.2 of his employment agreement with the city, based on Mr. Shahada's withdrawal of his demand for such meeting, and to confirm termination of Mr. Shahada for conduct unbecoming a public official pursuant to Section 3.2 of that agreement. That is the motion I would recommend at this point.
So move. I'll second it with discussion.
Okay, go ahead. I made the motion, you second.
I would personally like to see the meeting canceled. I think we all know where this next step is going, to litigation, and I think tomorrow night, if we are here, then we could possibly open up, or somebody could say the wrong thing up here that would be used in the litigation. As things could get heated tomorrow night with citizens going back and forth with us or whomever, however the meeting would end up, I just feel that it would be in the best interest of the city and of this council that we do cancel the meeting tomorrow night until we have a better idea of where things are headed. One other thing I would like to see is I think that maybe we need to put some kind of gag order on us up here so that we don't misspeak or misrepresent ideas or thoughts that we may personally have that could harm the city in some way in the future if this thing was to go to litigation.
Thank you. We need to address the motion at hand. And
Mayor?
yes, Mr. Williams.
So if I'm understanding Mr. Burgess right, you're saying that we should not speak on our First Amendment, right?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that when we speak, we need to make sure that we're not representing the city. If we have an opinion on this, and maybe the attorney could help me, that we would need to make sure that we're speaking as an individual and not representing the city or the city council at this time until we see where this process ends up, is what my thought is. And I believe there's ways that we could do that legally.
Right. What I understood Councilman Burgess to be stating that, assuming that the council adopts the proposed motion that's been made and seconded and cancels the public hearing in light of the withdrawal of the request for the hearing and confirms the termination of Mr. Shahada, it's good to exercise caution. Each member of the council independently, if they're approached by the news media or other third person, they should just be alerted or aware that what they say might be taken out of context and attempted to be used in a litigation arena. So that's why I understood what Councilman Burgess was saying, is just to be cautious, try to avoid making any comments to members of the public or to the news media, because it may well be that Mr. Shahada's attorneys will seek to file some type of lawsuit in the future. We don't know that, but it's just something to be cautious about.
Okay. I appreciate your advice, Mr. Attorney. We have a motion on the floor.
May I have a comment?
Yes.
Well, I think technically what Councilman Burgess is stating has already happened. We've had several meetings where we've each discussed our opinions and where we stand. So technically, if we're going to get sued for something we've said, it doesn't start going forward. It's going back. Now, that's my first point. My second point, Mayor, with all due respect, this is why I think it was so important to have public comment after one of the meetings. We kept holding the public on bay, saying there's going to be a public hearing, there's going to be a public hearing. We had 3 meetings, denied public comment because we were going to have a public hearing, and now we're to the point where we potentially might not have a public hearing. And all the comments that I know the public wanted to have input, this is a tough job, and sometimes you get, and I know for the past 2 years, sometimes you get a public who wants to air what they have to say on record. They want to go on record, and if it's tough on us, then it's tough on us. But I believe that that's why it was so important to allow public comment during the past meetings. We can't do anything about it now. I'm just stating as an observation. The public hearing, I don't know if it's going to pass tonight or not, but I think that the public is now being denied their comment that they wanted to make all along.
Thank you, Ms. Lemos.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr.
I do have similar sentiments in that, I think the public does need a chance to speak on this issue. Now, whether we respond to the public is a different story, but I think that they should be given an opportunity. Now, whether it's tomorrow night or at a future night, I think it was represented to them that they should have an opportunity to speak, and whether I agree or disagree with what they're going to say, I think they do need to have that opportunity. So I think that's something we need to consider, whether it be tomorrow night continuing that hearing, or we set a specific public hearing for the people to come and speak on this issue. I just think that's something that should be considered going forward.
Mr. Mayor, if I just might say that at the time any other person had asked to speak on the subject, it was believed quite properly that a public hearing would be held because Mr. Shahada had requested the public hearing. I think it's important to conclude this matter tonight and to keep in mind that at any time during the public comment period that you always have now at the beginning of meetings, any citizen who wants to speak for 3 minutes would be able to do so, and no comment is required back from the council. So if there are people that feel they would like to say something, they'll be able to do so at future public meetings of the council, just as they did this evening.
Thank you. Any further comment from council?
I have a comment, Mayor.
Yes.
In light of what we've been speaking here, my concern is if we do propose to have a meeting, it would be good in the sense of where our constituents would be able to respond or speak in light of what's going on here. But my concern is that we don't get in the back and forth of discussion. I think that's the main concern that I would have, which Councilman Burgess also mentioned as well. That would also be my concern. I want to make sure that if we do proceed to have this this meeting, that we are not entertaining anyone's questions that would arise during the meeting. If that would be the case, I would like us to refrain from answering. Just if it's an issue that we want to just air out concerns and see everyone's side, that's so be it. But my concern would be for council and speaking back or answering questions, and that would be really the concern that I have here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Vice
I
Mayor.
have a question for the attorney. If Mr. Shahada files suit against us, would we still be able to have comments if there was an active lawsuit?
If the lawsuit was filed, we would request that comments be directed through the city attorney's office, through whatever attorney for the city ends up handling the lawsuit, if there is a lawsuit. That would be the normal advice that we would give with any case. In any of the cities that we work for, if a lawsuit occurs, we always try to direct comments through our legal office or other designated representative of the city that's been designated for the particular purpose.
So with that being said, then, if we don't, I don't know how quickly it takes to put forth the paperwork to file a lawsuit, but if we wait, then there's a possibility that the public would be denied the right to speak. Is that correct?
No, because let's say, for example, if a lawsuit was filed a year from now, any time citizens could come up to the podium and make their comments. That's why you have a public comment period where people could speak about issues of concern, but you don't have to respond back to them. Matter of fact, you don't respond back to them. You just let them say what they'd like to say in a respectful manner. So, that may happen if you adopt this motion tonight. There might be people that appear at the next meeting. There might be nobody appears. That's up to them.
Mm-hmm. I'm really torn about this, Mayor, because I know that based on the people that I know that have stopped me in the street and grocery store and called me on the phone, they have something to say. They want to talk. So I'm very torn.
Whether they're pro or con could always give their input at the public comment portion of meetings, as long as they do it in a respectful manner.
All right, thank you.
Any further comment? We currently have a motion on the floor. Would you restate that motion for us, please?
Motion that cancels the public hearing tomorrow evening in light of the withdrawal of the public hearing request, and also serves to confirm the termination of Mr. Shahada for conduct unbecoming a public official pursuant to Section 3.2 of his employment agreement with the city.
Mayor, I'm sorry, I got a question. Do we have to vote on that all for one, or can we take two parts?
If you'd like, you could vote on it in two parts, but it's really, in my view, it's one item connected together, because by removing the public hearing that's already been built into the prior motion, it creates the need to finalize the prior motion by confirmation of the termination. So that's why we have presented it as one recommended motion, and as made, it's been one. But you could, if you really wanted to, you could make a motion to separate the issues if that's the will of the majority.
Mr. Williams?
Yeah.
Okay, Ms. Wallman.
I would prefer to separate them because, to me, one, I realize that they're both very important, but I'm waiting to hear what my colleagues have to say.
I think we've already voted once to terminate.
Yeah.
And now we're voting tonight whether we continue the meeting that was called for and asked for by Mike Shahada, who now no longer wants the meeting. So it wasn't originally called for public input. It was called for Mike Shahada. And he's respectfully canceled the meeting.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Shelley.
I just, if the will of the council at some point is to have public comment, I think that we need to designate a day. Whether it be tomorrow or not is a different story, but it needs to be a designated day versus having one of our council meetings and have it 3 hours long with the public comment on this issue, because this is a big issue to a lot of people. So I think that if we're going to have public comment, we should designate a day for public comment on this issue, and that way we're not taking a meeting and making it extra long.
Well, I think it's what we're about to do right now. If this motion passes, there is no meeting tomorrow night. The motion does not pass, then you're welcome to make another motion. Correct, Mr. String?
Correct.
Okay. We'll call
Just for one more thing, you just go ahead and put the whole, what we're going to be voting on.
The whole motion.
The whole motion
First
again.
one.
Right. The motion is to cancel the February 17th, 2010 public hearing concerning the termination of City Manager Mike Shahada, and to also confirm the termination of Mr. Shahada for conduct unbecoming a public official pursuant to Section 3.2 of his employment agreement with the city. That's the motion that's presented.
There's a motion on the floor and a second. Roll call vote.
Councilman Williams?
Mayor,
They elected us to make tough decisions.
no, I don't have a problem making a tough decision. I think, in all honesty, I think it needs to be, I think the vote needs to be split. I don't think it needs to be one motion. But that's fine. So I'll say yes.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
but
put down.
it needs to be, it should have been
Okay, next.
split.
Vice Mayor Waldman?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos? No. Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Next item. Got reports from mayor and council. Councilman Shelley.
I was going to say nothing at this time, but I think I will, based on what I heard, may or may not be, I think there is some concern here about some public comment. So at this time, can I make a motion then to go ahead and schedule a public comment date for this issue? How would I go about doing that? Can I do that?
If you wanted to set a certain future meeting of the council where public comments on the subject would be welcome, that's something you could do, but I wouldn't really recommend it. I think it's been stated that the public could make their comments. There's public comment periods at every meeting, so it's up to the discretion of the council. I don't see that any good would come of it.
Well, I'm not saying it would be a great idea, but I'm just saying that at the end of the day, though, the public they need to have the opportunity to speak their mind one way or another, regardless of whether it ends up being a good thing or a bad thing or a very painful process. They're entitled to their day to speak, so.
They can do so, at any of the public comment periods of the numerous council meetings that are coming up, but that's again your policy decision.
Well, I'll go ahead and make it if the council, if I don't get a second, I'll get a second.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Motion made by Mr. Shelley, second by Mr. Williams. Roll call.
Would you repeat the motion, or would you have a date certain, or?
Here, a date certain, so I understood the motion to be that sometime in the future to set aside a date and time for public comment for the purposes of the public giving their further input on the matter.
Can we have discussion?
Yes, discussion.
Is it possible, David, if we could do that at a COW meeting?
See why you couldn't. I don't see why you couldn't designate a certain committee of the whole meeting, for that purpose.
I make an amendment that we just do it tomorrow. It's already scheduled tomorrow on everybody's calendar. Just let it happen tomorrow, and that's my amendment, that we move it, that we have the public hearing tomorrow night at 7 o'clock on Wednesday.
I'll second that amendment.
We got a motion and a second.
We have two motions.
Yeah.
We had two motions in 1 second.
Well, we deal with the amendment first.
These guys got me going.
Respect to the amendment would be to set aside a public comment meeting for tomorrow. That would be the amendment. So you could vote on that first. Do you want to amend the main motion of having some kind of public comment meeting by setting one for tomorrow night? That's the amendment. If that is adopted, then you would look at the main motion of setting up a public comment period. The termination has been completed. That's finalized by your prior motion. You're just now debating about some kind of a public comment meeting.
We're going to vote on the amendment first? Or?
Correct.
Okay. That's good. Further discussion?
Yes. Let me clarify why I'm supporting this. I'm supporting it because the public does have an opportunity to speak. And all due respect to the city attorney, I think that when we set precedent and we say things, we need to follow. It doesn't matter how painful it may be for the process, but I think that the public does have a right to hear, and they have elected us to sit here. Now there are going to be pros and cons at the same time. So that but I think that I think as an individual, when I go home tonight, I know I made the right decision that I've been elected to do. That's not having a tough decision to make, but it's doing what's right and what's fair. And if we have scheduled such time and allotted such time and advertised this, then no matter if he shows up or not, it's not on us. Okay, and so that's why I'm passionate about this particular issue. And so I think the public does. We've made time for it, and I think action has already been taken. There's nothing too much that's going to come out of it other than gripes and maybe have pros and cons. And so with that, when I went out on campaign trail, that I promised I would listen to them, and this is the opportunity for me to listen to them, whether it's bad or good.
Okay.
Point of clarity. We just voted yes to cancel the meeting, but it was his meeting, correct? It was the one that was in the charter that he's allowed to have, and he called and he...
Correct.
Okay. Now, the question or the issue at hand is that we now want to have a public meeting. So maybe that would help out with the separation of what is trying to happen here. What we're trying to, other council are trying to establish. So basically what we're doing here is we closed Mr. Shahada's request, and we're now opening up just for public discussion tomorrow. Just a point of clarity. Just want to put that. Okay.
Mr. Attorney, it's just a little clarification. Mr. Shahada canceled. Are we stepping on his turf by opening something else back up again now and wanting to rehash his issue when he's asked not to? I mean, couldn't there be some liability here?
I don't see liability on the city's part, because if people make comments that they shouldn't make, they'll be the ones that are liable for it. However, you do bring up an interesting question. We don't know what his strategy is. Did he want to cancel the public hearing so that certain things would not be said in a high public attention?
Exactly.
That's something that you may consider, as you vote upon this supplemental motion.
Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Lopez.
I'll just restate what I originally opened with, that this is about the public comment. 3 meetings in a row, we stated that we would not hear public comment because they would have the opportunity to speak at a public hearing. So therefore, we closed public comment with the promise that we would open it up at the public hearing. So that's why I support the amendment. I think that the focus now has moved away from the city manager and moved on to the public, the residents. And it's true, they may show up, they may not show up, but we'll go forth stating that public comment was heard on this item.
Yes, Mr. Burgess, you had something.
I just don't see the good for either side, for the city or for Mr. Shahada, if we get up here tomorrow night and allow people to speak without him, as we've invited him to defend himself in the past and to come in tomorrow night. We arranged our schedules for him, and he has canceled. I just don't see the good for either side coming out tomorrow night by just having people stand up there and go one way or the other for 3 minutes that they're allotted. And I think it opens us up. The attorney said he doesn't, but I think it does eventually open us up to some liability of some sort somewhere down the road.
Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Mulvin.
And in response to what Councilwoman Lobos has just mentioned, I think maybe the confusion of the issue might be where, because the charter says that he has his day, we assumed that he would be here to discuss the issue, and at that forum would be the place of discussion, would seem to be the appropriate place of discussion. The issue is now arise because he has canceled it. The assumption that we had that would be the forum is now closed. So just for a point of clarification, or from my point of view, where the whole issue of public comment is just because we were going to do it on that day, and that day no longer exists, so now we're kind of left, the public is left, or we're left with, where do we go now? So just for the record, again, can we have your opinion on the public discussion that we have?
Just briefly, I believe the city reasonably made assumptions. Sometimes assumptions end up being ultimately incorrect, as far as the fact that there ends up not being a public hearing, because that was unexpectedly withdrawn. However, I do feel that we have the public comment mechanism at all the meetings, where if people do feel they need to get something off their chest about this matter, they could do so, as people did this evening on other diverse array of topics.
May I call for the vote?
Mr. Mulvin, are you finished?
I have
Yes.
one more.
No, go ahead, Ms. Mulvin. Yeah.
Is there any way that comments, so that there isn't, so we can avoid any risk of liability, that comments are directed just towards one topic? And I believe that would be the determination of our prior city manager. Is that correct?
You could ask people to confine their comments to a certain topic, but you don't have control over what people are going to say.
Which may only further hurt Mike Shahada. I don't know if this is his wishes. This was it was his floor.
Mayor,
Yes.
one more comment.
Yeah, and then we're going to vote.
Yep. At special call meetings, it's normal practice that we don't have public comment at special call meetings, as many as the ones that I've been to. Is that correct, Mr. Wolfman?
That's correct. I'm not sure historically, but I believe that's correct. But depends on the subject matter. I believe you're correct. This matter, it was properly assumed that there would be a public hearing because one would be requested as allowed by the charter, but unexpectedly, Mr. Shahada withdrew that. And he may have certain strategic reasons for withdrawing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to vote on the amendment first. You want to clarify that amendment?
Amendment was to set a public comment meeting for tomorrow evening. And then if that's adopted, it falls back to the prior motion of actually holding that meeting.
Okay, you got the first motion, and we have a second. Roll call vote.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Waldman? Yes. Councilman Burgess?
No.
Councilwoman Lobos? Yes. Councilman Maldonado?
No.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
No.
Motion carries.
Okay, now we're going to vote on the main motion. Correct?
Seemed to be to set a public comment period for tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. It's strictly a public comment. It's no action by the council because the council action has already been concluded.
Roll call vote.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos? Yes. Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Waldman? Yes. Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
No.
Mayor Bateman?
No.
Motion carries.
Okay, passes.
Mr. Mayor, just to clarify, the reason I made that motion, the reason I think that that's best is, again, we told the people repeatedly that we were going to have public comment, so I just think we need to follow through on that, so we will, which is good. And with that, nothing else on my business.
Okay, Vice Mayor Wallman.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
Let us go. The opening of the community center, excuse me, will be the end of March. Unfortunately, we had some problems with the phone lines and the computer lines, but the community center, we hope and pray, will open the end of March, and we'll keep you updated on that. I've had many applications for the city clerk position and the internal auditor position. Marcy, I'd like to schedule a meeting with you in the next week to start going over them and to close out the process. I think we have enough. I just wanted to say that Ms. Lottie Schaefer has been ill, and we wish her the best. She comes to all of our council meetings with Ms. Betty Alexander, so she's been under the weather, and I wanted to give my condolences to Mr. Fred Rhodes. His wife Joy passed away. She will be very much missed. And I wanted to also say that our 2010 Easter egg hunt will be on Saturday, March 27th. And I'm giving this information now because it's usually sold out, so you can get your tickets early. It's $5 per child, and it's going to be at Harrisville. And I wanted to say happy anniversary to my husband of 24 years. So that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Williams.
No comment, nothing.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Burgess.
Not at this time.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Lobos.
I do have comment and business. I actually want to, Mayor, with your permission, acknowledge that former Mayor Linda Bell's in the audience. And I do that because I want to talk about a new school that has recently been approved for the city of Homestead, and I would like, with your permission, to have her speak for a short period of a minute or a minute and a half, Mayor.
Sure. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. I actually wasn't prepared to speak on it, but it's very exciting. I was just informed today that Charter School Associates, those are the owners and operators of the Charter School Waterstone, has just been approved for their charter, and they are going to be building a 9 through 12 high school right next to the BJ's over on North Canal Drive, and so that they have been approved for their charter. And we're very excited because we're going to have a charter high school in the city of Homestead, and it's a 1,400 student station. And exactly, actually the Christ Fellowship owns that whole property, and so they're going to be getting a church and a high school on this huge piece of property. And what's nice is that road is going to be expanded, it's going to be widened anyway, and then also it's not around a bunch of houses, so it's not going to impede any type of traffic, and so it's very exciting news to know. So thank you for allowing me to share that. I just found out that today, and we were working on a lot of things prior to the elections to bring charter schools to Homestead. And, you know, we're of the minded as that there are plenty of children to go around for every single type of school. And so we were encouraging and working with many charter school companies, with not only Charter Schools USA, but also with the Academica, who owns and operates the Somerset Academies, as well as the owners and operates the Straters of the charter school at Waterstone. So good news for Homestead, the high school is coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Bell. Thank you, Mayor Bateman. I wanted to also talk about Art South. I am the liaison to Art South, and at the last board meeting, they announced an after-school program, which we actually have posted on our website. And they offer free tuition, but they do have to pay a registration fee of $30, and that was keeping a lot of the students from registering. They were trying to work with them. So I told them that I would pay for the next 15 students that would sign up for their after-school program, that I would pay the $30 registration fee, and they didn't even allow me to reach to the council meeting to announce that already 8 students have signed up, which I'm paying the registration for out of my council PR funds. And so I just like to encourage 7 more. The next 7 that sign up for the after-school program, their registration fee will be waived of $30. And then, Mayor, I have one more business, and I think that it's for the purpose of our residents. There's been a lot of, and Mr. Kevin Sullivan alluded to it earlier in the meeting, there's a lot of talk about this landscaping bid, and I think that we owe it to our residents to explain. I haven't heard an explanation. And so I think that we owe it to our residents to explain what happened. There's a lot of information out there about bid tabulations, about why the Southgate Landscaping, which I believe is the company that finally got it, was the highest bidder, and yet they were awarded the contract. So I'm sure that there's a good explanation for it. I would like our city manager to explain it to our residents. There's a lot of talk out there, and I think that it needs to be clarified.
Mayor?
Yes, please.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, it's simply wrong information that has been put out in some shape or form. Obviously, the numbers that the gentleman had were wrong numbers. It wasn't nearly, first of all, I checked with local vendors in terms of pricing, just so that I was able to negotiate something for, you know, that was at the right, with the right amount and getting the most of it. And so I did. I negotiated with a local vendor, and a registered vendor as well, a price on a number of items that are currently being installed. There is a second phase that is going to be added. And the numbers are entirely wrong. We're talking about a maximum of $14,000 for the entire project, and I needed, and I thought, you know, and I consulted, this was a project that needed to take place. It's been a long time since anything happened. In fact, this was only like the precursor, in a way, to a much bigger project that's forthcoming. We are, as you know, preparing an RFP, which will be let out either this week or next week at the latest, that entails a greater portion of Campbell Drive, which is consistent with these plantings. I just wanted something I just wanted to put something out there within my purview, within the code, within my allowance, just so that we can show our residents that this administration is doing something for the community, and so we did. And not only that, we have also, I have also spoken to the current vendors that we have, the current companies that we deal with in terms of landscaping, and in some cases they have even stepped in and helped us out with a lot of that landscaping. I was today, at an event in Losnet Park, and all the plantings, all the flowering beds, and all those things were placed by a negotiated agreement that I reached with the current vendors that we have.
Again, there's more forthcoming. I just wanted, my intention was to put something out there because from what I understand, nothing has been done in a very long time. And this is just one gesture, and again, it was legally done. It was within my purview to do as a manager, and it's a project that you still, I mean, there's a second phase that's coming that's going to make it look a lot nicer, and I hope you like it.
Mr. Perinos, this project was budgeted to happen this year through the People's Transportation Plan. So it was already planned to happen. The improvements to the Campbell Median was part of what the plan was for this year. The point that I would like to get clarification on, I think that it's great. It's great. Putting trees in the median was great. But one of the things that you did not answer is it went out to RFP, and the bids came in. Is that the process? Because that's the information that's out there, that an RFP went out and that the bids then returned. We had 20, I believe.
I just asked through procurement to check some prices because I wanted to make sure that what I was looking for, I got it for the right price, and so I did. I checked out, a number of bids came in, so that gave me the ability to negotiate something that was better for the city, and so I did. And by the way, a point of clarification, this portion of Campbell Drive was not included in that beautification plan that you spoke of. This is a portion that was not anticipated, and that is the only reason why I wanted to initiate something along those lines and in those locations.
So you used the fund out of the PTP without any authorization?
I used funds that I could use within the manager's office purview to handle this project.
I'm going to move on. That's your response. I wanted a response because I haven't heard anything about the project, and there's a lot of residents that were asking, so that's your response. Thank you. Which leads me to my next point. I'm very concerned. There was an article in the Miami Herald about some policy changes that you have implemented as Director of Development Services and as also as Acting City Manager, which I disagree with. I think that if without any public meetings, you decided to implement a policy that I haven't heard spoken of at the dais. Now, there was an article in December of 2009 where you stated that you wanted to look at reducing developer fees, and that that's an area that you were going to look into. And at the time, I was bothered because I thought there is a separation of power here where council decides on policy and then it is your job to implement it. I spoke to you briefly about it. I said, be careful. You know, I don't think that I've heard anyone on this council wanting your priority to be a reduction of developer fees. It certainly wasn't. I hadn't heard anything in public from this council, and so therefore I cautioned you at a meeting that we had to not just wrongly assume that this was the policy that this council was going to implement. Well, by reading the Herald on Sunday, I come to realize that you have moved forward with this, and I've yet to see you implement any policy that was decided from this dais, and so that is a concern of mine. I have never endorsed or not been given the opportunity to vote yes or no on implementing a policy that where you would go ahead and reduce by 30% the developer fee of costs that have already been incurred by the City of Homestead, and that concerns me a great deal. As of tonight, we no longer have a city manager. And so one of my recommendations would be that moving forward through the International Association of City Managers, that we start looking for a national search of city managers. And I know that one of the things of the International Association of City Managers is that while you're looking for a city manager, what they do is they provide you with an interim city manager. And so since we no longer have a city manager, I would encourage this council to move forward with contacting the International Association of City Managers, requesting that we have a national search for a city manager and have them provide us with an interim city manager. And that would relieve Mr. Perinos from the burden of being the acting city manager. I know you're also the Director of Development Services, and I think that it would also encourage the residents to feel a little bit more comfortable with the separation of powers, that you're no longer the Director of Development Services, which you once described as the gateway to the City of Homestead when you first accepted the job. And so I would feel better if there would be another acting city manager so that Mr. Perinos could just focus on the Director of Development Services.
May I?
Oh, yes, Mr. Manager. I'm gonna call a meeting here in a minute. We're connected again. Go ahead.
The issue concerning by the way, I'm wearing the two hats for the price, for less than the price that you were paying your development services director. But to address the issue of policy, in terms
Excuse me
of...
if I can interrupt for a second. Just a purely technical matter, if we can briefly extend the meeting. As I understand, we've been following a procedure to end at 10 if possible. If you can have a motion for a 5-minute extension.
I move for a 5-minute extension.
I appreciate that. I'm letting her vent.
I know you are, right, I know that.
You know, I mean, this is really not
I
the
know.
proper forum for it, but
Right, I know
you
that.
know,
Pardon me, Mayor,
it's
it's
not,
my
ma'am,
city
it's not.
business.
You have
It's
this-
my
if-
city business, and I have every right to speak
No.
as a councilwoman to use my city business. If I have the floor, I can speak on whatever issue I have to speak on. I apologize if you do not authorize that or don't approve it because you don't like it, but it's my city business.
It's not that I don't
And
like
I
it.
move to extend it by 5 minutes.
Motion to move it by 5 minutes. Do we have a second?
Marinos can answer the questions that were presented to him as he was in the middle of it, if that's okay.
Thank you, Mr. Burgess. All in favor?
Aye.
I call for a roll call.
Roll call vote. 3 nays.
Vice Mayor Waldman? Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
No.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
No?
Mayor Bateman?
No.
Motion failed.
Look, there's a time and place. There's plenty of time. Make an appointment with the city manager. Discuss whatever you want to discuss with him. I'm not stopping you. It's 10 after 10. We need to move on. We have 3 or 4 people who need to speak. I think you've had your share of the time. Simple as that.
I disagree.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's
And if the
I'm
city
chair.
manager would
Ma'am,
move forward
ma'am.
with scheduling a meeting with me, then we wouldn't have this
Ms.
issue. It
Lobos,
wouldn't have
when
to
you
be
become the
conducted in the
chair,
public.
you can do this as well, all right? Right now, I'm saying next person on the agenda.
Mayor,
Mr. Maldonado. Yes, sir.
I move that we adjourn.
Well,
I move that we adjourn only because we've gone by our time and we did not extend it. I move that we...
we have 5 minutes. Oh, lost it.
No, I move that we adjourn.
I have one item. I'd like to be heard.
You the chair.
One item. Everybody should have at least their minute or two. That's why I'm trying to say, you don't spend 15 minutes on an item that can be done one-on-one. The next person on the agenda, Mr. Maldonado, you have anything? Briefly?
Next time, we're good.
Thank you, sir. I have one item, and that is an appointment to the Homestead Housing Authority. Mrs. Marta Torres is my appointment to the Homestead Housing Authority. Replacement. Thank you. Got a motion to move, second? Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman Burgess? Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I move for the adjournment.
Motion to adjourn? Thank you very much. I know it was a long meeting. Thank you.